That seed in the heavenly gate was a lotus seed, and it looked extremely similar to the lotus seed in Long Chen's primal chaos space. However, Long Chen's lotus seed was golden, and this one was pitch black with black chi swirling around it. Even through space, he could feel the vast primal chaos aura around it. Long Chen found that the pillar of light shooting out of the gate to the esoteric spirit world behind him had grown brighter after this black seed appeared. Primal chaos chi was gathering from every world gate, and the seed inside the heavenly gate was receiving the nourishment of that energy. It started to germinate, and its form quickly changed. When its first leaf burst out, Long Chen could see what that was. It really is a lotus. Having personally witnessed the devil eye water lily's growth, Long Chen couldn't help but draw parallels to the lotus leaf before him. However, the lotus leaf's aura was millions of times stronger. Despite the immense distance that separated him from the solitary leaf, it exuded a formidable pressure that sent shivers down Long Chen's spine. When Long Chen looked at that black lotus seed, countless eyes throughout the world also looked at it. Some were terrified, and others were excited. After the first leaf appeared, its growth accelerated, and that single leaf grew to the point that it could cover an entire prefecture. Once this leaf reached a certain size, it stopped growing, and the second leaf appeared. When it emerged, the world started to shake, as it forcibly sucked the primal chaos chi in the world. Seeing this scene, countless sects started to panic and hastily shut down their formations, especially their primal chaos spirit gathering formations. They found that the primal chaos chi within their spirit stones was undergoing forcible extraction. Following that, the third, fourth, and fifth leaves appeared. The growth of every heaven-shrouding leaf sucked this world's primal chaos chi away. When the ninth leaf appeared, the world seemed to return to the point before the various world gates opened. There was no longer any primal chaos chi around. The ninth leaf fully absorbed the primal chaos chi from the entire world in just a few breaths, and this terrified countless people. A black flower bud had appeared on it. When it emerged, there was no further change in this world as the primal chaos chi had been sucked away. Just then, the various world gates shook. The esoteric spirit world's gate started to crumble, forming a giant channel. Long Chen observed with his naked eye as exceptionally pure primal chaos chi coalesced into an overwhelming torrent surging out from that channel. Not good. I have to return to the academy. Long Chen tried to use Xia Chen's transportation formation here, only to find that it had lost effect. Without thinking about it, he knew that it had to be connected to the Black Lotus. Long Chen then summoned his Kunping wings and transformed into a streak of light, heading toward the High Firmament Academy. I'm a bit slower. Long Chen's heart shook. The fact that his speed was slower meant that the world's laws were silently changing. The mysterious Black Lotus was affecting the entire world. Its 9 leaves shrouded the heavens, and the bud unfolded in a gradual blooming process, seemingly in preparation to open the gate to the 9th heaven. However, this gate gave off an ominous aura more reminiscent of a gate to hell. The lotus consumed the entire world's primal chaos chi. It was definitely the most terrifying existence that Long Chen had ever encountered in this lifetime. As the lotus slowly bloomed, the enormous heavenly gate started to twist. Upon closer inspection, Long Chen found that the opening of this gate was a bit strange. Long Chen passed by countless sects and cities and saw many experts staring at the sky in horror. They felt incomparably minuscule in front of that black lotus, their hearts filled with terror and unease. When they saw Long Chen fly by, those with sharp eyes recognized the golden Kunping wings to be Long Chen's. After all, Long Chen was the most famous existence within the dark light heaven, this generation's sage king who had defeated the first awakened heavenly Doyen. The dark light heaven was now teeming with formidable monsters, rumored to be able to easily slay Long Chen. However, those rumors couldn't be trusted. After all, hadn't Nether Dragon Tianzhao also said the same thing, only to be beaten by Long Chen? No matter how powerful those monsters were, as long as they didn't fight Long Chen was still viewed as an undefeatable battle god. Just as Long Chen was flying through the air, the Black Lotus's bud slowly opened, and black flames appeared inside of it. What? Long Chen's expression completely changed when he saw those black flames. That flame is... Long Chen couldn't believe it. It was Yansu flame, the strongest flame of the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and it was also one of Long Chen's mortal enemies. Long Chen had fought against Yen Su's sons and even slain his 9th son. Thus, Long Chen was extremely sensitive toward Yen Su flame. "Is the Black Lotus related to Yen Su?" muttered Long Chen. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Yen Su flame was the strongest flame of the 9 heavens and 10 lands, an existence capable of devouring all the world's flames. Long Chen had to be careful. "Big brother Long Chen, it would be best if I could devour that flame," Huolinger expressed with excitement, her voice resonating. Long Chen felt a stir in his heart. The Yen Su flame was renowned as the strongest, capable of devouring all other flames. Yet, Huolinger possessed the ability to consume any flame as well. The question lingered: who was truly stronger? A sudden smile crossed Long Chen's face. As expected, the concept of everlasting supremacy was non-existent. All things had their own banes. Perhaps Huolinger was the bane of the Yen Su flame? That wasn't beyond the realm of possibility. With Huolinger by his side, Long Chen felt a surge of confidence. Now, as he gazed at the formidable flame in the sky, his vigilance transformed into greed. If Huolinger could absorb it, then who cared about doyens? Who cared about saints? They would all be juniors in front of him. Huolinger expressed her desire to devour the flame, signifying her confidence in possessing the necessary power. The inclination was right. All she lacked was the opportunity. Hours later, Long Chen returned to the High Firmament Academy, and the Black Lotus had already fully bloomed. The lotus rotated, its leaves trembling as primal chaos chi surged toward it. Black flames erupted from the lotus, causing the entire world to contort and twist. Boom! Suddenly, the Black Lotus blasted the gate apart, leaving everyone dumbfounded. If the gate was blown apart, how could they enter? The moment the gate exploded, the Black Lotus also vanished and left behind an enormous black vortex in its stead. At this moment, Long Chen saw many figures rushing toward that vortex like bolts of lightning. Could it be? Long Chen was stunned. Yes, that is the gate. Just then, Bai Letian silently appeared by Long Chen's side. The Dragonblood Legion, the Academy's disciples, and the Battle God Palace's disciples walked out of the gate of the Academy. Move out. Enter the heavenly gate and see the original form of this world. The key to changing this world lies within. Children, I wish you good fortune. Bai Letian looked at Long Chen, Bai Shirshir, Bai Shaola, and the others with a hint of reluctance. Long Chen knew that his reluctance stemmed from the knowledge that once they entered, many of them might not ever return. However, they were cultivators. After stepping onto this path, they could no longer retreat. Even if they had to face death, they had to see the real world. Move out. Long Chen cupped his fists toward Bai Letian. With a wave of his hand, he led everyone toward that enormous vortex. Sweeping Elder, I'm going as well. Within the academy, the black-robed palace master bowed to the Sweeping Elder. The Sweeping Elder was solemn. The path to the 9th heaven has opened, coinciding with the immortal ancient battlefield. Individuals like yourself, who missed the prime of this era but are catching the tail end of it, will be rushing in. Countless dangers await inside, with an overwhelming number of individuals more talented and formidable than you. Are you sure you want to take this risk? That is why I've come to say goodbye. This parting might be forever, and perhaps this little one will never be able to repay your kindness. Please forgive me, expressed the palace master. The palace master appeared resolute in his decision to depart, prepared for the possibility of never returning. Despite this, his countenance remained calm. He had long surpassed the point of being concerned about life and death. The palace master was an upright figure who disliked owing anyone anything. The only one whom he had never managed to repay was the Sweeping Elder, who had saved his life in the past. The path to the 9th heaven was the opportunity for Long Chen's generation. one in which the palace master wasn't entitled to partake. However, the palace master had his own opportunity. After all, the opening of the ninth heaven had caused a chaotic spacetime current to appear, creating a crack in the seal of the immortal ancient battlefield, a place without the restriction of cultivation base, so anyone could go in. However, the spatial crack possessed enough power to crush ordinary saints, so even someone like the palace master couldn't guarantee that he could pass through it safely. Even if he could pass through the crack, he didn't know what kind of terrifying existences waited for him inside. Thus, the palace master was prepared for the worst-case scenario. As a cultivator, he had stepped onto the path of no return. It didn't matter whether it was a mountain of blades or a sea of fire inside. He could only advance, not retreat. He could accept dying on the battlefield, but the thought of his cultivation base stagnating for the rest of his life was unbearable for him. What was more frightening than death was mediocrity, especially for a prideful expert like the palace master. The sweeping elder nodded. Since you have made your decision, go. Once you enter, you might encounter people related to Long Chun. Look after them. People related to Long Chun? The palace master was startled. Weren't the only people related to Long Chun in the same generation as him? Why would they go to the ancient battlefield? Amongst them will be two twin sisters. They will definitely go to the immortal ancient battlefield because their ancestors died on that battlefield. They are part of the god race of the netherworld that conceals an unknown secret. The Black Lotus has appeared, and the six Daos are resonating. Their sealed memories should have awakened. After awakening those memories, they will definitely search for traces of their inheritance in the immortal ancient battlefield, replied the sweeping elder. His turbid eyes looked into the distance, as if seeing through spacetime. It was as if he could see the future. The netherworld's god race? Are they related to Long Chun? Asked the palace master. Not to Long Chun, but to his inheritance. The scope of their relationship is grand. Sometimes, things that look completely unrelated are actually connected in ways that you will have never imagined. In this world, there are not that many coincidences, said the sweeping elder. The palace master nodded. He then bowed once more to the sweeping elder and left. Once the palace master was gone, the sweeping elder's gaze turned back to the vortex in the sky. The specks in his turbid eyes spun like stars in the cosmos, gradually forming a vortex identical to the one in the sky. After a long time, the sweeping elder smiled. The grand Tao is in chaos. The fate of the heavens is shrouded. Unfathomable, inestimable. No guide to the laws. No order to the heavens. You wish to cover the heavens? Unfortunately, some people do not listen to the heavens. Within the vortex in his eyes, Long Chen's figure appeared. He was leading the Dragonblood Legion and the Academy's disciples toward the vortex with no hesitation. Boss, this time, our Dragonblood Legion should be able to fully gather. Guoran looked at the enormous vortex without the slightest fear. He was full of anticipation. Hearing that, everyone, including Long Chun, had their blood heat up. Although over 5,000 Dragonblood warriors had gathered, he still hadn't encountered the rest. Long Chun originally assumed that those people had met a grisly end upon entering the immortal world. Given their circumstances, that was understandable. However, back in the Vermilion Bird Empire, Long Chun had heard someone mention the wood element healing warriors of the Dragonblood Legion. Even now, they hadn't appeared, which made Long Chun extremely curious. His anticipation grew as he hoped to discover more Dragonblood warriors. Perhaps their delayed gathering signaled that the opportune moment had not yet arrived. With the gate to the ninth heaven now open, elite individuals from all corners of the world, regardless of the era, were bound to emerge. The Dragonblood Legion would definitely find more of its people. Yet, intertwined with this anticipation was an underlying nervousness. If even now the Dragonblood Legion failed to assemble entirely, it suggested that some of them might never return. The competition within the immortal world was fierce, with unforeseen events unfolding at every turn. Every Dragonblood warrior had brushed by death countless times, so they were aware of just how dangerous it was. Contrary to the idyllic image of a realm filled with gods and immortals, the immortal world proved to be bloodier than the mortal realm. No one could guarantee that they could survive to see the next day's sunrise. Thus, the Dragonblood warriors were hopeful but also nervous. With mixed emotions, they continued on. At this time, they saw countless people around them, all gathering toward the spatial vortex. The various sects and worlds had sent all their experts, looking like rivers flowing into the sky. It was a spectacular sight. At this moment, everyone finally saw just how many terrifying experts had been hiding in this world. Heavenly doyens that could be considered peerless existences during normal times were now as numerous as grains of sand. The number of triple supremes was greater than the stars in the sky, and even individuals who couldn't be classified as supremes were joining the fray. They all embraced the prospect of death, unable to accept a life devoid of significance. With this opportune moment at hand, their once cherished lives seemed less valuable, and even in the face of certain death, they chose to take the gamble. Just as Long Chun was leading everyone forward, he suddenly felt a sense of danger and turned back toward a mass of rising devil chi. A group of the devil race's experts were rushing toward them. Just as he noticed them, he also sensed several other experts appear from other directions. They had actually surrounded Long Chun and the others. "Are you the human race's sage king? Your life ends here," a sinister voice echoed, accompanied by the eruption of Doyen power. Bai Shirsher and the others' expressions shifted, as they sensed that the speaker's aura rivaled that of the terrifying Lifehunter expert. Die! A blood-colored spear tore through the world, heading straight toward Long Chun. A terrifying divine weapon filled with Doyen power shot through the air, locking Long Chun with its terrifying aura. The owner of this blood-colored spear was a long-haired man with overflowing devil chi. His Doyen manifestation was present, and there were 5 stars vaguely visible inside of it. Long Chun instantly thought of the stars on the heavenly Doyen fruits when he saw the 5 stars. It seemed that the tears of Doyens could be seen even through their manifestations. This meant that the devil expert was on the same level as the Lifehunter expert. Yet, during Long Chen's confrontation with the Lifehunter expert, the latter's manifestation lacked these stars. Clearly, this devil expert was a bit stronger than that Lifehunter expert. "You also want to enter the pathway to the 9th heaven? Keep dreaming. Instead of dying there, you can die at my hands now," shouted that devil expert as he thrust his spear toward Long Chun. "Children of the devil race, I don't even know how many of you that I've killed. You think you are qualified to shout in front of me?" Long Chun sneered, and in front of countless shocked gazes, he extended his hand and effortlessly seized the incoming spear. Stars flowed on top of his hand, causing his arm to look as if it was made of stars. Simultaneously, his divine ring manifested, and his starry sea radiated a brilliant light. A cascade of starlight then descended, enveloping Long Chun and turning him into the battle god of the starry sky. Before this, Long Chun wouldn't have dared to block a saint weapon with his bare hands, especially when wielded by a 5-star heavenly Doyen. However, having advanced to the peak of the 12th heaven stage of the World King realm and undergone 2 major transformations, Long Chun had reached such heights that even he was uncertain of the level of his strength. "Courting death!" roared the devil race's Doyen in fury, and his Doyen manifestation quivered. The spear in his grasp radiated intense light as his Doyen power erupted like a volcanic explosion. Boom! The spear quivered, and both Long Chun and the devil expert were forcibly pushed backward. Neither could maintain their grip on the weapon. However, Long Chun seemed to have expected this. Long Chen's other hand snaked out and grabbed the spear. After that, he thrust it toward the devil expert. The devil expert seethed with anger. He had barely launched his spear, and now Long Chun snatched it away. What an absolute humiliation. However, he was profoundly aware of how terrifying this spear was. Being not a saint, he could not fully unleash the power of this saint weapon, so he had only relied on his soul and Doyen power to control it. The devil expert recognized that unless he ignited his core energy, he couldn't harness even a fraction of the spear's power. However, such an act came at a terrifying cost. Initially, when he attacked, he didn't regard Long Chun highly, assuming he could defeat Long Chen in just a few moves. Hence, he naturally wouldn't ignite his core energy as he had to keep some power in reserve for his enemies in the pathway to the ninth heaven. In his carelessness, Long Chen snatched his divine weapon. Seeing it being thrust toward him, the devil expert roared. A giant blood-colored shield appeared in his hand, its aura somewhat identical to the blood-colored spear. It seemed that they were a set. Long Chen snorted. A shield against a spear. Then let's see which one is stronger. As Long Chen's 7 stars revolved behind him, he forcibly injected his astral energy into the spear. As a result, the spear rumbled explosively as if resisting Long Chen's power. But in front of Long Chen's astral energy, it didn't have much ability to resist. Employing the same method as when he used Split the Heavens, Long Chen infused the spear with his entire power. Ignoring its resistance, he forcefully thrust it forward. In retaliation, the devil expert also set his Doyen stars in motion, and devil chi erupted from his shield. All of his power was concentrated within it. Boom! Before countless shocked onlookers, both the shield and spear crumbled, unleashing a tumultuous explosion and wreaking havoc. Long Chen grunted and retreated a few steps. His internal organs shook and he almost spat out blood. The explosion of saint weapons was absolutely terrifying. As for the devil expert, blood sprayed from his mouth, and the arm holding his shield was missing. He was clearly at a disadvantage. These two divine weapons originated from the same source. Hence, when they clashed, they destroyed each other. Unfortunately for him, this set was a priceless treasure of his race, and he was only temporarily given the privilege of holding them because he was entering the pathway to the ninth heaven. After that, he was supposed to return them. Now that these priceless saint weapons were no more, the experts of the devil race were incensed. Just as he hesitated about whether he should order the rest of his people to attack or if he should retreat, a pretty figure emerged behind him, and a violet sword pierced through the back of his head. It was Lei Linger. She had emerged like a phantom, striking without anyone noticing. Previously, when Lei Linger launched an attack, the aura of heavenly tribulation would erupt. However, her current control was exceptionally terrifying. She retained her aura perfectly concealed. As a result, when she materialized, she caught the devil expert completely off guard before swiftly dispatching him. "Kill them all, especially those Doyens," shouted Long Chen. Brandishing a 7-color sword, Long Chen shot after the devil experts led by the dead Doyen. They had planned to wipe out the Dragonblood Legion, but their leader's death came too quickly. He fell almost the instant he confronted Long Chen, which left the remaining devil experts dumbfounded. Wherever Long Chen's sword fell, the devil experts collapsed rapidly. The Dragonblood Legion also attacked them, picking out those Doyens. Deprived of their leader, the devil experts were reduced to disarray. Yu Zifeng and the others swiftly cut them down. Disciples from the Academy and the Battle God Palace also participated in the onslaught. However, these devil experts numbered in the millions. As the Dragonblood Legion could not surround them in time, the majority of them managed to escape in the end. In just this one clash, hundreds of thousands of their elites met their demise, including over 10,000 heavenly Doyens. This clash was witnessed by many experts, but they all ignored it. Even other branches of the devil race didn't come to assist them, prioritizing to rush toward the vortex. For them, entering the vortex was more important than anything else. Good timing. Long Chen and the others didn't pursue them. After cleaning up the battlefield, Long Chen handed Guo Ran a spatial ring. When the latter checked it, he instantly understood. The inside of the ring was filled with heavenly Doyen fruits. Long Chen was telling Guo Ran to secretly distribute them to the Dragonblood warriors. This way, all the Dragonblood warriors could immediately consume them after entering the pathway to the ninth heaven. Then, their overall power would once more rise, and since they would be inside the pathway to the ninth heaven, it wouldn't cause too much of a disturbance. Guo Ran silently distributed them. By the time he was done, they had gotten right next to the vortex. The closer they got to it, the more experts appeared around them. Once they got to a certain distance from the vortex, they would instantly vanish, most likely sucked by the spatial energy. Just as Long Chen and the others were about to enter, Long Chen suddenly sensed something. A flame lotus then shot in front of him, and he shouted to Guoran, "The rest of you enter first!" Boom! As the flame lotus exploded, the void collapsed, revealing a translucent figure that shot away. When they saw that figure, their hearts turned cold. The translucent figure emanated an icy presence, causing everyone to feel as if they had been thrust into an icehouse, freezing their very souls. Even their minds grew sluggish. Luo Bing and Luo Ning in particular were profoundly affected. It seemed as if their blood had stopped flowing. Not bad. No wonder Di Qing died. But your bloodline sets your fate in stone, said the translucent figure before completely vanishing. You must be Ying Tian. If you possess the ability, I'd like you to see my fate. Long Chen snorted and suddenly twisted through the air, just in time to dodge a strange sword that sliced through the air. It looked identical to the previous Life Hunter expert's sword. However, this sword's aura was countless times stronger. The moment the sword cleaved through the air, it tore the very void and disrupted the heavenly Tao runes around it, revealing a giant tear that could hardly be mended by the heavenly Das. This sword possessed terrifying destructive power that surpassed the scope of an ordinary saint weapon. Even just a simple slice from it unleashed such devastation. You are fast. But can you dodge the next one? Boom! Long Chen's seven-color sword shot out, piercing the void. However, it missed the target. Within that broken space, a blurry figure could vaguely be seen. Long Chen's attack was actually off, startling him. This fellow was far stronger than the one that Long Chen had slain, and he was almost impossible to sense. Even the 9-star hegemon body art senses faltered in gauging his presence. Previously, back in the High Firmament Academy, Long Chen could pinpoint the Life Hunter expert's location due to the blood staining the Life Hunter expert's sword. However, facing this terrifying assassin, Long Chen didn't dare to let that sword get close to him, understanding the peril it posed to his life. The two had not really exchanged blows. However, this fellow sent shivers down Long Chen's spine. Long Chen launched a series of relentless attacks, causing the void to repeatedly erupt. However, the majority of his strikes failed to find their mark. In fleeting moments amidst the destroyed space, he could only see some blurry figures. You're too slow, and your perception isn't sharp enough. It seems that I overestimated you, sneered that figure. Hearing this, Long Chen maintained an unwavering expression, but his gaze grew sharper. He knew that his opponent was trying to provoke him and make him lose his cool. In battles against assassins, maintaining a calm demeanor was crucial, akin to a strategic game of chess. One wrong move and there would be no way to turn the tables. Power only mattered if you could execute your moves well. On the other hand, a sharp mind, accurate judgment, unwavering resolve, and calm demeanor held greater importance in this case. Although the old man did say that schemes were useless in front of absolute power, if the power levels were on par, the assaults of an assassin became nearly unstoppable. After all, assassins possessed the innate ability to discern weaknesses in their opponent's moves, and the truly outstanding ones could even create some openings out of nothing. Long Chen had asked whether or not this person was Ying Tian, but the latter didn't reply. This deliberate non-response was also a form of mental attack, and whoever could apply greater pressure to the other side held the upper hand. Since this person didn't admit to being Ying Tian, Long Chen also couldn't be certain. In the absence of a clear identity, an ordinary expert might inadvertently be careless and reveal an opening. A sharp sword silently thrust toward Long Chen's back, but Long Chen ignored it and swung the 7-peaked sword in front of him. Boom! Amidst the eruption of the void, another sword materialized in front of Long Chen. The attack from behind him was actually a feint, and the real decisive blow came from the front. The feint convincingly mimicked the characteristics of a real strike, capturing the right aura, pressure, and resonant sound. It was so well made that it could deceive anyone. Within the Dragonblood Legion, other than Long Chen and Yu Zifeng, everyone else had fallen for it. Long Chen's slash destroyed the space in front of him, causing that translucent figure to retreat. He was as quick as lightning, giving no time for Long Chun to launch consecutive attacks. The most frightening thing about assassins was that they wouldn't let you unleash your full power. Many powerful experts had met their end at the hands of assassins with ostensibly weaker strength. Everyone knew that assassins were capable of killing people across realms. That was because they would always grasp their target's weaknesses first. Once identified, the battle would essentially be over. Despite his attacks not landing at all, Long Chun was still calm, devoid of any trace of panic. Only by maintaining his calm could he prevent his opponent from finding an opening. Otherwise, once his heart fell into disorder, his senses would no longer be as sharp. Faced with his opponent's peerless assassination arts, such a lapse could spell the end of everything. Just then, a sword materialized on Long Chen's left, accompanied by another one on his right. The dual assault approached from distinct angles, both striking with almost identical speeds. When these two swords emerged, Long Chen's seven-peaked sword vanished. In its place, a flame lotus manifested in his left hand, while a lightning sphere crackled to life in his right. "This is what I was waiting for," Long Chen exclaimed. Simultaneously, flames and lightning erupted. Two translucent figures materialized this time, surprising onlookers with the realization that these two attacks originated from two different individuals. It wasn't a matter of one being fake and the other real. Had Long Chun attempted to block them as before, it could have proven fatal. Lightning and flames mixed, turning this world into a flame-sea heavenly tribulation domain. Now, those two figures had nowhere to go. Lightning and flame runes were glued to those two figures, leaving them with nowhere to hide. The runes seemed to embed themselves in the translucent forms, as if they had taken root within the very essence of the figures. Just then, two pretty maidens charged out of the lightning and flames, attacking both of those figures. As for Long Chun, he shot toward Huolinger's side. Forming quick hand seals, he ignited his seven-color supreme blood, and millions of seven-peaked swords appeared behind him. "Now where are you going to run?" Supreme blood ignition, 10,000 swords fly, Long Chun roared. In response, millions of swords coalesced into an unending sea of blades, engulfing his targets and leaving them with no opportunity to retaliate. Surrounded by the flames and lightning, the translucent figure lost his ability to conceal himself. Within this domain, his abilities were greatly limited. Finally, Long Chun managed to lock onto his target with spiritual strength, a task that proved exceedingly challenging to do. This expert had first used an illusory clone to trick Long Chun, followed by a solid clone on the second occasion. In essence, both figures were manifestations of the same individual. Having forced his opponent to split his essence, chi, and spirit equally, Long Chun took this chance to counterattack. As long as Long Chun didn't give his opponent time to recall his clone, he could potentially kill the clone or even his opponent. Lei Linger and Huolinger attacked together. Between them, Lei Linger was slightly stronger, so Long Chun chose to work together with Huolinger rather than having them both work together. As the sea of swords tore through the heavens, Huolinger's white flame lotus spread, completely sealing their target's path. In front of this combined attack, the translucent figure snorted and put away his sword, replacing it with a flag. The emergence of this flag shattered Long Chen's composure, disrupting his ability to remain calm. A surge of killing intent erupted in his eyes. This flag bore an image of auspicious clouds, yet they deviated from the typical white hue, instead emanating a violet glow with a sacred aura. Long Chun and Huolinger's attacks simply disappeared within the violet light, effortlessly consumed by its radiant presence. Long Chun was shocked and enraged. The flag contained the power of violet blood and possessed an ancient, desolate aura. The unimaginable quantity of violet blood essence gathered within it left Long Chun astounded. It could be considered a bit similar to the Nether Dragon race's 10,000 dragon nest, as it had accumulated endless energy over the years. In comparison, an individual's power seemed so minuscule. "Don't you think your violet blood race's power is very amazing?" taunted that figure. Although no one could see his face, everyone could imagine that his expression was one of disdain right now. Long Chen's head buzzed with disbelief. This fellow was actually using the power of violet blood against him, a descendant of the violet blood race. Nothing could be more contemptuous than this. This flag had condensed the blood of countless experts of the violet blood race, and Long Chen sensed auras even stronger than saints from it. However, these auras carried an overwhelming sense of sorrow and grief. To have their essence blood used by their enemies and turned into a weapon was an indescribable insult. At this moment, Long Chen's fury exploded. Die! Long Chen roared. Covered in starlight, he charged toward the translucent figure. Huolinger also started to chant, and the world trembled as her sacred scripture echoed through the surroundings. At first, Long Chen had thought that their immediate attack would be able to restrain his opponent, but this person actually had a weapon that could directly nullify their attacks. Having lost the initiative, they could only attempt to use their full force. Hence, they were now truly going all out. Long Chen's fist was covered in the stars of the sky as it smashed toward his opponent, while Huolinger's divine flames condensed into a snow-white blade that made people's souls almost freeze. "You're full of openings. I can kill you like slaughtering a chicken," exclaimed that person as he swung the violet flag at Huolinger. Boom! Huolinger's blade collided with the violet flag, causing violet chi and white flames to erupt, filling the sky with their brilliance. In the end, Huolinger was sent flying by the impact, but her attack left the violet flag covered in frost and engulfed by burning white flames. That figure was also knocked back several steps, surprised by Huolinger's terrifying power. Even with this powerful divine weapon, he wasn't able to fully block it. At this time, Long Chen arrived, not giving him a break. Long Chen was clenching his teeth furiously, seemingly on the brink of losing his rationality. When Long Chen reached him, that figure smiled sinisterly. "It's over." Suddenly, that figure split into four, all holding a violet flag each. As Long Chen charged toward that figure, all four flags wrapped around him, instantly enveloping him. This technique caught everyone off guard. Furthermore, the four flags were not mere illusions but four equally terrifying divine weapons. Long Chen! In the distance, Yu Qingxian screamed. They had been following Long Chen's orders and going toward the vortex all this time. Hence, they were now too far and unable to help him even if they wanted to. What? Suddenly, that figure let out a startled cry as the four flags binding Long Chen inflated. Boom! In the end, the four flags binding Long Chen became covered in cracks, almost breaking apart. Because of the backlash, the four figures all coughed up blood and hastily retreated. When the four flags opened their encirclement, a bronze cauldron could be seen where Long Chen was. The moment those flags bound him, Long Chen summoned the earth cauldron. However, he couldn't help sighing inside. Unfortunately, these flags were not a typical hard weapon. If they were a typical saber, spear, sword, or halberd-type weapon, they would have instantly turned to dust upon striking the earth cauldron. You! That figure stared at Long Chen furiously, realizing that Long Chen had duped him by intentionally showing fake anger. He had long since heard that Long Chen had a terrifying bronze cauldron that was likely the legendary Heaven-Earth Cauldron. However, it didn't seem as if Long Chen could use it to attack. In his mind, as long as he didn't strike it, he would be fine. That was why he had been on guard against it at first. But then, Long Chen went crazy upon seeing the violet flag. His spiritual strength fluctuations were chaotic, and his killing intent was blazing, which were signs that he had entered a berserk state. That was why this assassin had thought that he had grasped a chance to kill Long Chen. But now he found that this chance was a fake. If he hadn't noticed something off and pulled back his violet flags before they tightened, they would have shattered. This violet flag was a supreme treasure of the Life Hunter race, something passed down from their ancestors. If it was destroyed, there would be no chance to recreate it. Boom! Just then, Long Chen was charging toward one of his clones, with 7 stars flickering behind him. His killing intent had locked his opponent down firmly. In response, the other clones attacked Long Chen as well, trying to save that one clone. Heavenly Flame Prison. Just as they moved, Huolinger formed hand seals, and multiple layers of flame pillars soared into the heavens, blocking them. Wielding the violet flags, the three figures attacked the flame pillars, destroying them one after another. However, there were just too many of them. There was no getting by them. At this time, there was a huge explosion. Long Chen's fist landed solidly on the violet flag, triggering an explosion of starlight that bathed the sky in violet brilliance. The figure wielding the flag coughed up blood, and his previously translucent form materialized, exposing a pair of scarlet eyes. He was a brown-haired man whose face was so lean that it was almost skeletal. "You're really ugly." Long Chen's foot slammed toward that person's ugly face. Just as Long Chen's foot slammed down, the ugly man swayed once to the left and right, leaving behind a mass of afterimages, causing Long Chen's kick to mysteriously miss its target. Just as he was about to launch a counterattack with his flag, Long Chen's hand viciously struck his face. Bang! The ugly man could dodge Long Chen's foot, but not his bizarre yet powerful face slap. As a result, the ugly man's head exploded. Long Chen's slap was unprecedentedly powerful, possessing the force to instantly crush a mountain. However, what astonished Long Chen was that even after losing the head, the ugly man's body exhibited no signs of hesitation or pause. His headless body still controlled the violet flag to wrap around himself, and the two vanished. The moment he vanished, the other three clones clearly strengthened slightly. Seeing this scene, Long Chen sighed inside. Even with this kind of attack, he was unable to eliminate one of the ugly man's clones. The three clones that Huolinger was blocking suddenly enveloped themselves with the violet flags as well. In an instant, their auras vanished, and they were able to ignore Huolinger's flame barrier. Boom! On the other side, Lei Linger engaged in a frenetic battle with the initial clone. Berserk lightning created destructive ripples, and a colossal mushroom cloud erupted, shrouding the sky. Long Chen and Huolinger immediately rushed over. The ugly man had recalled all of his clones, consolidating his scattered power. It was evident that he intended to kill Lei Linger. Fortunately, Lei Linger still remembered Long Chen's words. If she wasn't confident in being able to eliminate her target, she had to hold back a bit, waiting to deliver a decisive blow to her target. When the ugly man tried to kill Lei Linger, she finally had to risk it all and unleash all her power in a wild explosion. The ugly man had long since realized that Lei Linger was a lightning spirit, not a human. However, he hadn't expected her intelligence to be so high that she could hide her true power adeptly. Just when he believed he had unraveled her actual strength and was about to deliver a fatal strike, he realized he had just kicked an iron board. Lei Linger's lightning sword clashed with his weapon, triggering two powerful bursts of energy that shattered the world around them. The ugly man coughed up blood and was propelled backward. He was shocked to realize that he had been deceived by a spiritual body. He was at a disadvantage in that clash. Furthermore, now Long Chen and Huolinger rushed toward him. "Not bad, but I won't be accompanying you any longer. I'll take your head in the pathway to the ninth heaven." Long Chen, Huolinger, and Lei Linger attacked the ugly man from all sides, but with a quiver of the violet flag, the void twisted, and he vanished. Their attacks collided with each other, leaving all three stunned as the ugly man successfully evaded their onslaught. Long Chen's expression darkened with frustration. How can this be? Space was in chaos. How can he teleport? Lei Linger gritted her teeth. In that clash, she had clearly injured the ugly man, but the latter could still escape. Lei Linger and Huolinger were both depressed, especially Huolinger. The ugly man was as slippery as a mudfish. Huolinger wanted to fight him directly, but the latter didn't give her the chance. Having all that power and being unable to use it made her go crazy. That violet flag has accumulated generations of the violet blood race's essence blood, so it contains their divine abilities all the way back to the immemorial era. We don't know many of them. At the very least, we know that your ice soul energy can restrain it. Next time, he won't be so lucky, comforted Long Chen. Although that was what he said, in truth, he was also extremely unhappy. If he didn't need to comfort them, he'd have long since started cursing. The ugly man's most despicable aspect was that he used the power of violet blood against descendants of the violet blood race, making Long Chun grind his teeth. At the same time, Long Chun felt like when it came to the violet blood race's terrifying abilities, he had only seen the tip of the iceberg. That flag had just absorbed some violet blood yet was already such a terrifying weapon. This raised the question, what kind of power did a genuine expert of the violet blood race possess? In front of this violet flag, Long Chen's violet blood grew agitated, disrupting his concentration. It definitely affected him. Long Chen knew this as a result of a bloodline resonance. It gave him the urge to immediately destroy the flag and free the sealed power of the violet blood inside. This was a weapon made specifically to use against members of the violet blood race, just like that strange sword. They both disturbed Long Chun, making him unable to bring out his full abilities against the Life Hunter experts. I need to learn how to seal my violet blood temporarily. Otherwise, if it gets chaotic, it will affect me. Long Chun couldn't find any effective means of countering this aspect. Hence, Long Chun had to seal his violet blood, or he would always be at a disadvantage whenever he fought the Life Hunter experts. The ugly man was far stronger than the previous expert of the Life Hunter race. The two were simply not on the same level. Most importantly, he was even craftier and was an even greater assassin. From the start, he had not unleashed his true Doyan power. In other words, it was just a probing attack this time. Furthermore, although the ugly man was at a disadvantage against Lei Linger, it didn't really affect him in the end. His injuries were minor, and instead of utilizing Heavenly Tao energy for healing, he opted to flee. This demonstrated his prudence and marked him as the epitome of an assassin. He was unfathomably powerful and skilled, not letting anyone grasp his weaknesses. Definitely a source of frustration for Long Chun. From the start of his attack until his retreat, he had not admitted that he was the Heavenly Province's #1 expert, Ing Tian. This aimed to intentionally apply psychological pressure on Long Chun. Despite this, Long Chun was sure that the ugly man was the Heavenly Province's #1 expert. His certainty stemmed from his intuition as a peak expert. However, the ugly man's Doyan level remained a mystery because he had never used his Doyan power. Not only did the ugly man keep his Doyan power concealed, but he also refrained from exposing the top assassination arts of the Life Hunter race. While Long Chun managed to discern certain weaknesses in his cloning technique, it was only a partial understanding. Long Chun didn't dare to even say if those weaknesses that he had grasped were real or mere bait set by his opponent. To sum it up, the ugly man was terrifying. After he left, Long Chun looked up at the sky, and his expression suddenly changed. Without hesitation, Long Chun shot upward toward the sky, akin to a shooting star. At some point, that giant vortex had shrunk. If it closed, Long Chun wouldn't even have a place to cry. During Long Chen's confrontation with the ugly assassin, the vortex started to contract. However, engrossed in the battle, he didn't notice the change in the vortex. By now, all the junior experts from Darklight Heaven had entered, leaving Long Chun as the sole individual yet to pass through. Hence, he pushed his Kunping wings to the limit as he rushed toward the vortex. The opening was now only a few miles wide and was on the verge of closing. Fortunately, Long Chun was fast enough, and just as it was about to close, Long Chun charged in and vanished. A powerful suction force drew Long Chun into a spatial channel, and Long Chun saw an endless starry sea before him. Streaks of starlight flew by him. Long Chun felt like he had entered a spacetime channel. However, he also felt a terrifying pressure crash down on him from every direction. How hateful! Long Chun felt squeezed, his bones creaking. The spacetime energy pressing on him was so intense that blood started to ooze from his eyes, nose, and mouth. Long Chun instantly thought of that assassin. He suspected that the assassin knew the secret of this channel and had intentionally stalled Long Chun to make him suffer this terrifying pressure. Bastard! Long Chun roared. The terrifying spatial energy was so powerful that he felt like he would explode. Veins throbbed on his forehead as he resisted it. In the end, Long Chun found himself ensnared in the schemes of the ugly man. Shocked and incensed, He wondered if the cunning man had truly orchestrated the entire scenario. If he really had planned all of this, he was truly terrifying. It suggested that he might not have even unleashed half of his true power, and he was inclined toward using intelligence to beat his opponents. From the moment he attacked, he had set up a plan to place himself in an unbeatable position. His scheming skill ran quite deep. I can't. Under this pressure, Long Chen's skin became red, and his golden scales and astral runes appeared around him. His violet blood, dragon blood, and seven-color supreme blood automatically surged to life, instinctively activating to shield him. Clearly, Long Chen was already on the brink of death, and his instinctual response was to resist with every ounce of his power. Just as Long Chen felt like he couldn't endure any longer, the space-time channel exploded. After that, the terrifying pressure vanished. As countless fragments of space-time flew about, Long Chen shot out like a shooting star, entering a new world. Boom! Long Chen collided with a mountain, causing it to tremble as dust and dirt scattered through the air. Long Chen was embedded into a cliff made of blood-colored stones. Even once he smashed into it, the rock remained intact after the impact. Long Chen, however, spat out blood, bearing the toll of the forceful collision. This cliff was incomparably tough. The impact against it shook Long Chen's organs, and stars spun in his eyes. Long Chen was shocked. Just what kind of cliffside was so strong? Just as Long Chen was still dizzy, a heaven-shaking roar rang out, and Long Chen saw a giant black ape in front of him. This devil beast wasn't particularly large, only a few dozen meters tall. However, its berserk aura sent shivers down Long Chen's spine. A brutal killing intent exploded out of it as it lunged toward Long Chen, its feet unleashing ear-piercing explosive sounds as it stepped across the void. Fuck! How can I be this unlucky? Long Chen was going to cough up blood from rage at this rate. Having just entered this world and still heavily wounded, he now found himself facing a saint-level black ape. This black ape's blood chi contained desolate chi, indicating that it was an ancient great desolate species. Even with all of Long Chen's learning, he was unable to recognize what exactly it was. However, its terrifying blood chi was many times stronger than that of an average saint. As Long Chen had almost been killed by the pressure of the spatial channel, he didn't dare to fight it now. Even in his top condition, he wouldn't dare to fight such a powerful saint-level desolate beast, let alone when he was injured so heavily. His Kunping wings spread, and he shot away like a shooting star. Boom! Long Chen had just fled when that black ape smashed into the cliff, blasting it apart. Countless rays of divine light shot out of the cliff like a firework. Seeing this scene, Long Chen's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. It is a saint-level immortal metal deposit. No wonder the cliff was so tough. It harbored a deposit of saint-level ores within. While Long Chen lacked the knowledge to distinguish various ores, the aura alone suggested that it was a priceless treasure. At this time, the black ape opened its mouth. The world darkened as a blood-colored sphere appeared in its mouth. When that sphere was pointed at Long Chen, he suddenly found that he couldn't move. The entire world seemed to freeze around him. The black ape was so powerful that it could control this entire space. Here, Long Chen became nothing more than a live target. Boom! The blood-colored sphere shot toward Long Chen. With nowhere for him to run, he could only face it head-on. However, if he were to block the attack of a saint-level desolate beast, it would be no different than courting death. Long Chen was about to summon the Earth Cauldron. While the Earth Cauldron was invincible against physical attacks, against divine abilities, its effect was not that good. Long Chen didn't know if he could block this attack. Unexpectedly, Lei Linger flew out of the primal chaos space and summoned a lightning sea around her. Big brother Long Chen, leave this to me. Suddenly, Long Chen switched places with Lei Linger. Lei Linger! Long Chen cried out. Just then, Lei Linger was blasted to bits by that sphere. Even someone as powerful as Lei Linger was unable to endure the attack of a saint-level desolate beast. Don't worry, I won't die. Within the sea of lightning, Lei Linger's figure recondensed. It went without saying that she was truly powerful. She was safe and sound. Let's run. Hualinger also appeared. Along with Long Chun, they were staring nervously at that black ape. We can't run. It's already locked on to me. All we can do is kill it. Long Chun gritted his teeth, and a ruthless light appeared in his eyes. Boom! Wielding a lightning sword, Lei Linger repeatedly slashed the black ape, forcing it back. This lightning sword was made of her essence runes. After all, the wild blade that she obtained back then couldn't keep up with her strength. Lei Linger's power was absolutely terrifying. Even against a saint-level devil beast, she could still put up a fight. Unlike the encounter with the Life Hunter expert, this battle was a straightforward exchange of power. There would be no awkward situations hindering Lei Linger from unleashing her full strength against her opponent. Hiding behind a mountain, Long Chun observed Lei Linger in combat, gauging the black ape's strength. It's clearly just a devil beast. How can it be so powerful? Muttered Long Chun. This was Lei Linger's 7th clash against the black ape. She and Hualinger were taking turns against it to buy time for Long Chun to heal. Hualinger was slightly weaker than Lei Linger. However, the black ape seemed restrained by her flames, so she had quite the upper hand. Lei Linger and Hualinger would switch out after fighting it for the burn time of an incense stick. The black ape saw that Long Chun was playing tricks and tried to attack him several times, but it was always stopped by Lei Linger and Hualinger. It was unable to harm Long Chun in the slightest. What left the black ape most helpless was that it could only keep fighting like this. 8 hours had passed, yet its aura showed no signs of weakening. Long Chun was astonished. This black ape was a devil beast, the lowest tier of existence in the immortal world. However, it was able to grow to such a terrifying level in this place. Fortunately, despite being powerful, its intelligence was still very low. This was why Long Chun didn't run but chose to fight instead. This was a mysterious world, and no one knew just how many dangers awaited him. If he just ran around randomly, he could encounter an even stronger beast. However, if he could kill this beast, he would be in control of its land. Then he would be temporarily safe. At this time, Hualinger came forward, and Lei Linger retreated. Flame soared, accompanied by sacred chants, as Hualinger and the black ape engaged in an evenly matched battle. Long Chun felt relief knowing that both Lei Linger and Hualinger possessed the strength to contend with saints. Otherwise, it would have been dangerous for him. Against that black ape, he didn't have the slightest confidence to win. However, Long Chun was curious that even though the black ape was fighting Hualinger and Lei Linger, its killing intent was firmly locked onto him. He didn't know how it was doing that. According to reason, no matter how powerful this devil beast was, its intelligence would still be limited. Couldn't so accurately place a mental or spiritual lock. However, this impossibility had occurred to him. Is it a bloodline lock? Does it sense the dragon blood in my body? Long Chun suddenly thought of a possibility. After he thought of this, his heart shook. If that really was the case, it was troublesome. As the emperor of all beasts, when the dragon was strong, all beasts submitted to it, not daring to disobey. However, when the dragon was weak, it was like a walking spirit pill, a potent medicine for increasing one's power. That was especially true when it came to these devil beasts and demonic beasts. A single drop of true dragon essence blood could potentially induce mutation, transforming them into an unprecedented and powerful species. In this world, numerous species owed their existence to the dragon race. However, only half of these were the outcome of mating between the dragon race and other races. The other half were mutated species who had devoured the essence blood of the dragon race, becoming an entirely new species. For example, the earth dragon races. They were mostly the result of a species consuming some dragon essence blood and mutating. If Long Chen's assumption was correct, then the reason that the black ape had locked onto him was that it thirsted for his essence blood, wanting to devour his dragon blood and mutate. After reaching this point in his thoughts, Long Chun was frightened. It really was fortunate that he hadn't run around randomly after being attacked. Otherwise, he would be like a firefly in the darkness. Who knew how many terrifying devil beasts would attack him then? Lei Linger and Hua Linger continued to fight the black ape in turns, causing a huge disturbance, but no other devil beasts appeared in the surroundings. This place had to be the ape's territory, so other devil beasts would not approach it for nothing. A saint-level devil beast was in existence that had lived for countless years. Hence, the surrounding beasts were well acquainted with their territories and wouldn't enter the domain of another saint-level devil beast lightly. Stepping into someone else's territory was equivalent to a declaration of war. These devil beasts were extremely violent, and once a fight started, there was no stop until one was dead. The majority of them fought to the death rather than run. This was why people labeled devil beasts as having low intelligence. Indeed, they were not known for their cleverness. Once their minds were set, they rarely altered their course of action. Thus, as long as Long Chun didn't leave this black ape's territory, he would be safe. A full day and night passed. As Hua Linger and Lei Linger took turns fighting, the black ape's aura finally started to drop. Lei Linger and Hua Linger took constant breaks in the primal chaos space. Hence, even after all this time, by constantly resting, they were still in their peak condition. However, the weakened black ape didn't show any fear. It only grew more violent, roaring repeatedly. This was a characteristic of devil beasts. When they sensed danger, they would go berserk, and their attacks grew even more powerful. When it sensed a danger to its life, it would overdraft all of its power in order to drag down its opponent with it. Once the devil beast started getting violent, Long Chun finally took action. He had long since recovered to his peak condition. The minute he stepped forward, the black ape roared and charged toward him, ignoring Hua Linger and Lei Linger. Boom! Long Chun unleashed a punch, and the starry sea behind him revolved. This one punch contained his full power. However, when the black ape turned his attention to him, one blow was enough to send Long Chun flying. He almost spat out blood. This was Long Chun's first time truly fighting against a saint-level expert. As a result, he instantly sensed just how huge the difference between them was. In terms of pure power, he was not a match for Hua Linger and Lei Linger. He couldn't even withstand a single blow from the black ape. The black ape roared and charged after Long Chun, but Lei Linger and Hua Linger blocked it. A net of lightning and flames twisted in front of it, but it continued to charge forward recklessly. Just as Long Chun predicted, in the black ape's eyes, he was the only enemy. Just then, Lei Linger and Hua Linger's nets creaked and cracked, causing their expressions to change. The black ape's power had grown as it entered a berserk state. Once it went berserk, its power would erupt in a final burst. At that time, they probably wouldn't be able to deal with it. Long Chun flicked his finger, and a ray of golden light shot into its mouth. When this golden light entered its mouth, its whole body shuddered. Following that, a strange mark appeared on its forehead, and Long Chun slammed on that mark with his palm. Submit! When Long Chun's hand slammed onto the black ape's forehead, it went crazy. The black fur covering it actually turned dark red, and its aura intensified, causing the earth to shudder and explode. Its eyes were scarlet, and it swung its head, flailing as it went completely berserk. Long Chun kept his hand tightly pressed against its head, unleashing the power of his dragon blood as he exerted effort to inscribe a slave seal. The light he injected into its mouth was a medicinal pill, specifically a soul-suppressing pill often used to subdue house pets. For this opening of the pathway to the ninth heaven, Long Chun had prepared countless types of medicinal pills. Healing pills, antidote pills, barrier-breaking pills, spirit-controlling pills, and even various kinds of poison pills. This soul-suppressing pill was a special pill used to calm the soul of a house pet and facilitate the placement of a slave seal. While the medicinal pill did not reach the peerless grade, it was a top-grade golden pill. Moreover, as it was refined by the earth cauldron, it was potent enough to be effective even against a saint-level devil beast. As the black ape started to weaken, Long Chun seized the opportunity, unleashing the power of his dragon blood. However, he found that the ape had entered a berserk state as it resisted. If this continued, it would expend all its strength in a fight to the death. Even if it didn't die, it would be crippled and unable to be a house pet. Considering the dangers in this unfamiliar environment, Having a saint-level devil beast could serve as another life-saving card. Hence, Long Chun channeled all of his power to complete the placement of the slave seal. However, the black ape refused to submit, enraging Long Chun. According to reason, an ordinary devil beast would definitely submit to a slave seal infused with dragon blood. After all, this was true dragon essence blood, something that completely suppressed them. To submit to the dragon race wasn't something embarrassing either. No good. I can't use the dragon blood to seal it. It's going to die. Long Chen's expression changed. However, opting for spiritual strength over dragon blood would be even more draining. Furthermore, he would have to constantly control it with his spiritual strength to prevent it from rebelling. Such an action would severely affect his combat power. I'll try with my violet blood then. Violet chi surged behind Long Chun, causing the golden seal on his palm to transform into a violet hue. Unexpectedly, something completely unforeseen occurred. The berserk black ape actually calmed down in an instant. No longer fiercely resisting, it now trembled. Yet its movements were no longer erratic. The violet seal gradually penetrated its head, diffusing through its bloodline. Once that violet seal fully set in, the black ape gradually became gentle and actually knelt on the ground. Seeing this scene, Long Chun was shocked and delighted. He hadn't expected his violet blood to simplify the process of placing a slave seal. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have wasted so much unnecessary effort. Huolinger and Lei Linger withdrew their energies, silently observing the devil beast they had battled tirelessly for a full day and night suddenly becoming docile. Anyway, it had long since lost its mighty appearance as its shiny fur had been charred badly by Huolinger. Moreover, it had countless wounds on it and some were still bleeding. Inside these wounds flowed lightning runes, hindering its ability to heal. It went without saying that this black ape was incredibly powerful, as even the full-powered assaults from Lei Linger and Huolinger failed to inflict deep wounds. Long Chun instructed Lei Linger and Huolinger to pull back their energies from it. After that, Long Chun fed it a few medicinal pills to help it recover. However, this black ape had already entered its berserk state just now, overdrafting its power. Recovery from such a state couldn't be achieved within a mere day or two. Long Chun chose to remain in this area during this period, allowing Lei Linger and Huolinger to rest as well. After all, they were also fatigued from the prolonged battle. The regretful thing was that this slave seal was created using Long Chen's violet blood, not his spiritual strength. That meant that he couldn't access the black ape's memories. Long Chun constantly fed it medicinal pills, including a sacred light snow lotus pill. 3 days later, it had recovered to approximately 70 to 80% of its former strength. During this period, Long Chun excavated the immortal metal or deposit, and also found several extinct types of medicinal ingredients in the surroundings. After confirming that he hadn't overlooked anything, he got on the black ape's shoulder and started to explore the surroundings. Although this black ape was now his house pet, he didn't dare to be careless because just a moment ago, the black ape paused at a certain area and pointed ahead fearfully. Long Chun instantly realized that this was the domain of another terrifying devil beast. From its fearful expression, the master of this domain was not an existence that it could challenge. Long Chun could only nod and send it in another direction. The black ape was extremely fast, not much slower than Long Chen's top speed. However, it was running and jumping, making the ride very bumpy. This was a foreign world, and Long Chun could only learn about the surroundings by having the black ape run around randomly. Right now, Long Chun was hoping to encounter the stone lifeform he had encountered back then through the esoteric spirit eye. If he could communicate with it, he could quickly gain an understanding of this world. Suddenly, the black ape slowed down, and its gaze grew serious. When it let out a low roar, its fur started to stand on end. Just then, a furious roar came from the distance, its voice similar to that of this black ape. Then Long Chun saw another black ape appear, its appearance similar to the one he had just tamed. As soon as this new black ape appeared, the one beneath Long Chen's feet also roared and charged forward. "Fuck! You brought me here to get revenge on an old opponent?" Long Chun was dumbfounded. These two black apes clearly knew each other, and the one Long Chun had just tamed had guided him straight into its old opponent's territory. Boom! The two apes collided, their colossal fists meeting in a series of impactful blows. The surrounding mountain ranges erupted, and shockwaves of chi surged skyward. "You're a scammer!" Long Chen cursed. However, these two apes were already fighting, and Long Chen's ape had not fully recovered, so it was clearly at a disadvantage. "Come out!" Long Chun helplessly summoned Lei Linger and Hua Linger to his side. With the four of them joining forces, they instantly gained the upper hand. Taking advantage of the moment, Lei Linger thrust her lightning sword through the eye of the black ape. The creature toppled to the ground and lay motionless. In a hurry, Long Chun rushed to its side and formed hand seals, as his spiritual strength spread toward it. "Soul Search!" Long Chun sighed, and the black ape's head went limp. "Fuck! What a messy head!" cursed Long Chun as he wiped off some sweat from his forehead. Long Chun had done a soul search of its memories, only to find that they were completely worthless. It was mostly some scenes of bloody fights it had experienced, as well as a bit about its growth. Devil beasts really are devil beasts. They don't remember much of anything. Long Chun was speechless. It took him a great deal of effort to conduct this soul search, but it ended up being worthless. The memory capability of devil beasts was very limited. Within those memories, Long Chun did spot the black ape that he had subdued. Based on its memories, they were actually brothers. However, after maturing, they went off on their own. Among devil beasts, familial bonds were non-existent, as their mother only gave birth to them due to instincts. Even siblings engaged in fierce competition over territories, and their clashes had been so severe that they had nearly killed each other multiple times. Hatred was the only emotion that existed between them. Although Long Chun didn't gain much of anything from this soul search, he did at least find what its territory looked like. "Let's go." Riding the black ape, Long Chun pointed in a certain direction, and they swiftly reached an immortal lake enveloped in rising mist. At the center of the lake, an island emerged, faintly visible and resembling a mystical paradise. The black ape cried out excitedly upon spotting the lake. It was the reason for the conflict between the ape brothers. Back when they left their mother, they found this place and realized that the immortal lake was beneficial to their cultivation. Although devil beasts were not intelligent, they had a remarkable knack for locating valuable natural treasures. As a result, powerful devil beasts would always occupy lands of great feng shui. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother claiming a territory and guarding it to the death. The devil beast subdued by Long Chun had lost to its brother, leading to it finding that vein of ores. The spiritual chi from that deposit also aided in its cultivation. However, that deposit paled in comparison to this immortal lake. Despite numerous attempts to seize the immortal lake, Long Chen's black ape consistently fell short of defeating its brother. That was why it was excited to return here again. What a dense medicinal fragrance! Long Chen's heart started to pound harder as he got closer. Long Chen slowly approached the lake. Stretching across a few hundred miles, the lake hosted numerous small islands scattered throughout its waters. The black ape immediately squatted down and started drinking the water. It seemed that the water had a great appeal to it. Long Chun ignored it, letting it drink the water. He then went to one of the islands and was shocked to find countless precious medicinal ingredients growing there. "Is this the legendary jade bone violet heart bamboo?" Long Chun looked at the 3-foot-tall stalk of bamboo before him, and his eyes widened in astonishment. The bamboo was as thick as a thumb, resembling jade with a violet thread at its core. This was one of the main ingredients of the Nirvanic charge pill. Long Chun himself had never read about it or seen it. However, when he saw several stalks of this legendary plant here, he couldn't help but blurt its name out. The leaves were emerald and covered in crystalline dew, emitting a reinvigorating scent of bamboo. "This is a priceless treasure with soul-nourishing properties," exclaimed Long Chun as he immediately took out a jade shovel. With utmost care, he dug out a stalk of the bamboo and transplanted it into the primal chaos space. Although he didn't know anything about the jade bone violet heart bamboo, a simple examination provided him with a broad understanding of its effects. When it entered the primal chaos space, it immediately started to spread its enormous root system. As Long Chun had tossed the other black ape's corpse into the black soil, the primal chaos space brimmed with life energy, and the jade bone violet heart bamboo immediately absorbed it. Even though the bamboo stalk didn't get taller or wider, the violet thread inside of it grew denser. At the same time, its root system expanded rapidly. Successive stalks of bamboo emerged from the ground, each as thick as a forearm. In a matter of moments, a small bamboo forest had sprouted, creating a lush and vibrant scene. Furthermore, as more of them burst out of the ground, the new ones became thicker than the ones before. Long Chun was overjoyed at this sight, so he continued to explore the surroundings. He stumbled upon several unfamiliar medicinal ingredients, but based on his years of experience, he could accurately judge their value. Wanting to preserve the environment of this island, Long Chun harvested only a single specimen of each medicinal ingredient. Moving from one island to the next, Long Chun went through hundreds of them and gathered thousands of new medicinal ingredients. Finally, he approached the largest island, the central hub surrounded by other islands like planets in orbit. When Long Chun got closer to the central island, he saw large footprints on it. He knew that these were left behind by the slain black ape. Based on its memories, this was where it cultivated. However, it only roved around the perimeter of this island, and there was a stone bed where it rested. Right above that spot was an overhanging cliff with a stalactite hanging from it. Drip. Just as Long Chun walked in, a drop of liquid from the stalactite fell to the stone below. In that specific area, a hole with a blood-red hue was evident, as if numerous drops had pooled there. Long Chun sniffed it and didn't smell anything. He stuck a finger inside and found that the liquid was sticky like blood, coating his finger. Inside the liquid, he observed two distinct types of energies. One was soft, while the other was hard. The two energies intertwined, creating strange fluctuations that Long Chun could sense through his skin. Astonishingly, the liquid seemed to nourish him through his skin. This revelation startled Long Chun. Just how powerful was his physical body? For this drop to be able to so easily penetrate the defenses of his skin was shocking. Fortunately, this thing wasn't poisonous. Otherwise, he would have been poisoned right now. It seems that the reason the black ape surpassed its brother is due to this liquid. Long Chun took that single drop of the liquid and swallowed it. Immediately, a fierce and gentle burst of energy coursed through him, activating his essence, chi, and spirit. What is this? A natural spirit pill. Feeling shocked, Long Chun flew up to the stalactite. As he examined it more closely, his eyes widened almost to the point of popping out of their sockets. He jumped onto the cliff, which was the mountain peak of this little island. There, a black light and white light revolved around each other like two fish. At the center of these two lights was a 3-foot-tall blood-colored spirit mushroom. The divine lights flowed around it in a harmonious dance, resembling the interaction of the sun and moon, their rhythm seemingly influencing the cadence of heaven and earth. Seeing that mushroom, Long Chun felt his head buzzing, and his mind went momentarily blank. Heaven, earth, blood, spirit, mushroom. Long Chun, you've struck gold. The earth cauldron's voice rang out, its voice laced with astonishment. Even in its seclusion in Long Chun's mind sea, the earth cauldron couldn't help but feel shaken. Am I dreaming? Can I really be this lucky? Long Chun hesitated to move, afraid of waking up from this seemingly wonderful dream. Don't worry, you aren't dreaming. This is the Heaven Earth Blood Spirit Mushroom, a saint medicinal ingredient that ranks among the absolute top grade. Its tier far surpasses the 1,000-leaf sacred light snow lotus, assured the earth cauldron. Is it the new year? Do I also get some good fortune? Long Chun exclaimed, his emotion overcoming him. After being bound by bad luck for so long, he almost didn't know how to handle such a fortuitous encounter. The Heaven Earth Blood Spirit Mushroom was one of the most important ingredients for the Nirvanic Charge Pill. So Long Chun couldn't believe he would directly encounter it upon his arrival in this world. It holds the power to twist heaven and earth. Ranked top grade among saint medicinal ingredients, the heaven-earth blood spirit mushroom has exceedingly high requirements for its environment, and its growth rate is exceptionally slow. It has 3 leaves, which means that it has lived for 300 million years. As a fully matured one has 9 leaves, this heaven-earth blood spirit mushroom is still in its infancy. Of course, that's not an issue for you. Your primal chaos space can let it rapidly grow, explained the earth cauldron. Long Chun was overjoyed to hear that. However, just as he took out his jade shovel, the earth cauldron stopped him. If you touch it like that, it will immediately die. What? Long Chun was so startled that he almost dropped the shovel. The heaven-earth blood spirit mushroom can only be absorbed using the universal power of heaven and earth. If any other power extracts it, it will instantly lose its balance and die. As a result, many people don't even dare to touch it if they find it, opting instead to absorb its universe divine extract. That's a priceless treasure coveted by countless people, explained the earth cauldron. Universal power of heaven and earth? What is that? Asked Longchen. He had never heard of such a thing. It's not possible to explain it in just a few words. You won't understand. Putting it simply, it is a merger of soft and hard energy. I am the earth cauldron, and I can teach you a way to use this power. Just channel your energy and leave the control to me, said the earth cauldron. New information flooded Long Chen's mind, and he hastily focused on absorbing this information. As Long Chun merged with this information, his whole power instantly ignited. The earth cauldron had said that the method of using this energy was challenging to grasp. However, Long Chen mastered it instantly, so he thought that the earth cauldron had helped him somehow. Little did he know, the earth cauldron hadn't played any part in it. Long Chun sensed his body temperature rising, as if he had been tossed into a pool of lava. However, he felt full of power. This power was of the supreme yang type, possessing explosive and unyielding characteristics. Long Chun had never experienced this kind of power before. It felt like this power contained a will to destroy all things, a domineeringness that said, "Follow me and prosper, defy me and die." Long Chun trembled, his body seemingly beyond his control as an ancient rune manifested on his right hand. This rune was one of the runes on the earth cauldron, but it had been dormant until this very moment. As the rune on Long Chen's hand lit up, in a distant world, amid endless darkness, another bronze cauldron that looked identical to the earth cauldron quivered ever so slightly. This bronze cauldron exuded an aura completely different from that of the earth cauldron. It was wild, domineering, and cold-blooded. Every rune on it resembled ferocious beasts thirsting for the nourishment of fresh blood, an embodiment of a fiend from hell. Instinctual cravings for killing and slaughter emanated from it. If Long Chun saw it, he would definitely cry out in shock. He had previously sold this exact cauldron, the Heaven Cauldron. "I've waited trillions of years. You've finally appeared." The bronze cauldron's voice rang out in the distance, each word dripping with bloodthirst and every syllable resembling the overture of slaughter. The will to destroy heaven and earth overflowed in its utterances. Long Chun didn't know that another bronze cauldron had sensed him when that rune appeared on his palm. All he knew was that the rune triggered the ignition of all his power, causing his heart to pound wildly. The realization that this rune could ignite his full power was beyond anything he had ever dreamed of. It had to be known that up to this point, Long Chin didn't have something that could channel all his different powers into one. Whether it was his astral energy, his dragon blood energy, his violet blood energy, his seven-color supreme blood energy, or even his flame energy or thunder force, they needed to be unleashed with their own techniques. For example, Long Chun could unleash his dragon blood power through dragon roars at the 9 heavens, divine dragon tail pendulum, and the cloud dragon immolation claw, but even after using all 3, his dragon blood energy wouldn't be fully exhausted. Long Chen's power had gotten to the point where he could engage in prolonged battles. Yet, this strength also harbored a fatal weakness. He couldn't unleash his full power all at once. His strongest move now would have to be the 9 forms of split the heavens. Only this technique could instantly unleash the full power of his stars in one move. However, the condition to execute such a move was to possess a weapon capable of withstanding that torrent of power. Until now, he had not come across a weapon capable of meeting this requirement. Even a saint weapon might prove insufficient for the task. Therefore, this single rune brought a shocking revelation to Long Chen. It could transcend the limits among different energies, merging all his powers into one, including his unique astral energy. In other words, all his power could be unleashed through this one rune. The prospect left Long Chen on the verge of exclaiming in amazement. If he could unleash all of his power at once, the resulting attack. Concentrate. The Earth Cauldron's voice interrupted his wild thoughts, prompting Long Chen to hastily focus on the rune on his palm. Suddenly, a rune on the Earth Cauldron also lit up. As this rune glowed, the rune in Long Chen's hand responded to the summons, causing two streams of energy to merge into one. This is Earth energy. Although the Earth Cauldron taught Long Chen a simple technique, just condensing this rune took all of his power. This was the epitome of complexity returning to simplicity. The more profound the technique, the more simple it was. When the rune on Long Chen's palm merged with the one on the Earth Cauldron, it formed an endless cycle of energy. Seeing this scene, how could Long Chen not understand? This was the Earth Cauldron, one half of the Heaven-Earth Cauldron that represented the softer aspect, while the Heaven Cauldron embodied the supreme yang existence. At this moment, the rune on Long Chen's arm controlled all of his wild and explosive power. This power encompassed his bloodline power, the astral energy of the 9-star Hegemon body art, and even the core energies of Huolinger and Lei Linger. All these powers could be considered supreme yang energies, and this rune had the ability to draw all of them out. If he could detonate all of them at once, the resulting force could directly slay saints. Thinking of this, Long Chen saw a new world before him. However, the rune on Long Chen's hand was not under his control, as if there was a mysterious energy communing with it. Long Chen thought that the Earth Cauldron was controlling it, so he didn't really take note of this. Little did he know that another kind of energy was silently awakening inside of him. When this supreme yang power erupted from Long Chen, the Earth Cauldron's supreme yin energy merged with it to form a powerful spatial domain. As this domain enveloped the blood-colored spirit mushroom, Long Chen shook as he actually felt a resonance with the mushroom. No wonder it is called the Heaven-Earth Blood Spirit Mushroom. It is a priceless treasure. Through it, one can fathom the universal power of heaven and earth, remarked Long Chen. Endless runes surrounded the Heaven-Earth Blood Spirit Mushroom, embodying the connection between yin and yang, gentleness and hardness. It was a manifestation of a grand Tao. If someone grasped its profundities, they could turn into an unimaginable existence. These profundities were of paramount importance not only in cultivation but also in all other aspects of life, whether it was refining pills or forging items. Under the Earth Cauldron's control, the Heaven-Earth Blood Spirit Mushroom slowly rose. Long Chen was shocked to see that despite being 3 feet tall, it had 2 roots that extended for hundreds of miles. Those 2 roots also bore countless root branches, thinner than hair. Seeing this, Long Chen blessed his fortune that the Earth Cauldron was here. Had he dug it out with a shovel, it would have instantly died. Long Chen carefully sent it into the primal chaos space. When it left the soil, its blood color rapidly faded, causing Long Chen to jump. Don't worry, it is still young and will die as soon as it leaves its spirit land. But we have enough time before that happens, said the Earth Cauldron. Long Chen didn't dare to tarry and hastily found an empty place for it in the primal chaos space. After digging a deep hole, he carefully placed the Heaven-Earth Blood Spirit Mushroom inside. Once it took root in the primal chaos space's soil, its blood color quickly returned, and the Heaven-Earth Chi around it also came back. Actually, its aura was even stronger than before, proving that this place was even more suitable for it. Long Chen finally sighed with relief. He found that at some point his back had started sweating. Is there a need to be so nervous? Asked the Earth Cauldron with a teasing tone. Long Chen smiled bitterly. Senior, you don't know this thing about me. Ever since I set foot into the cultivation world, I've been bound by terrible luck. I'm not afraid of using power to win things, but to use luck to fight over them, I really have no confidence in that regard. Long Chun sighed inside as he had faced all kinds of trouble and misfortune. After entering the immortal world, his terrible luck had improved quite a bit thanks to his status as the Sage King. Before that though, if he wanted to obtain such a priceless treasure, he would have to snatch it from someone else who had stumbled upon it by chance. There was no way for him to run into it himself. Thus, even with the Earth Cauldron's help, Long Chun still felt nervous about gathering the Heaven-Earth-Blood-Spirit mushroom. He thought that perhaps the heavens would give him a devastating blow at any moment, so failing at a critical moment wouldn't be strange. Actually, having bad luck isn't necessarily bad. At the very least, it has tempered your confidence. If you instead relied on luck for everything, you would be entrusting your future to luck. Such a person cannot go far. The heavens are no longer the original heavens. What it bestows can be taken away at any time. Luck can vanish with a single breath, but power is constant. Even the heavens cannot take it away. If one wants to go far in the future, they cannot depend on luck, explained the Earth Cauldron. Long Chun nodded. He had long since experienced what the Earth Cauldron was saying. Although he did occasionally grumble about his bad luck, deep inside, he vaguely felt that it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Those who thought they were the favored sons of the heavens often fell because of their overconfidence. They thought that the heavens would always look after them. If they hadn't had such blind confidence, perhaps they wouldn't have died. Relying on luck was essentially gambling with life. In any case, Long Chun was used to his bad luck after dealing with it for so many years. If he couldn't find something through luck, he could buy it. If he couldn't buy it, he could scam it. If he couldn't scam it, he could seize it through force. As long as he was strong enough, he didn't think that luck was that important. For example, this time, he was lucky enough to find the Jade Bone Violet Heart Bamboo and the Heaven-Earth-Blood-Spirit Mushroom. However, had he not been strong enough to place the slave mark on the Black Ape, it would have been impossible for him to come here. Without absolute power, he would only be able to stare at the treasure or face the wrath of the other Black Ape. Thus, while it appeared as if he was lucky this time, it was also a manifestation of his power. After taking the Heaven-Earth-Blood-Spirit Mushroom, Long Chun saw a hole in the ground below it. More Heaven-Earth Chi came from below, so Long Chun couldn't help but take a peek. He found that there was a spirit pool deep below, and it had 2 openings. This is the Heaven-Earth Spirit Spring. It is extremely rare, and its existence is what allowed the birth of the Heaven-Earth-Blood-Spirit Mushroom, said the Earth Cauldron. Long Chun couldn't help but sigh in awe at the marvels of the world. While tempted to collect some of the liquid for further study, the Earth Cauldron cautioned against it. If you touch the water, it will lose its balance and instantly dry up. It will never appear here again. You've already obtained a priceless treasure, so by no means should you destroy the precious land that produced it. Otherwise, karma will take its toll. Those who commit such acts are far from fortune and close to calamity, said the Earth Cauldron. Long Chun nodded. He had just been curious. He then continued on and plucked a few more rare medicinal ingredients. After that, he left with the Black Ape. They traveled for several hours before the Black Ape suddenly stopped. Long Chun knew that this was the territory of another terrifying devil beast. Hence, he hastily concealed his aura and snuck his way over. To conceal the presence of the Black Ape, Long Chun didn't just feed it an aura-concealing pill but also rubbed medicinal powders on it to mask its scent. The reason Long Chun did this was to sneak attack the other devil beasts. After all, this place was filled with them. If he had to go around every time he encountered one, it would significantly delay his progress in leaving the region. Thankfully, the Black Ape had powerful senses, and the surrounding devil beasts routinely marked the boundaries of their territories with excrement and aura as a warning to others. Thus, the Black Ape would immediately alert Long Chun once it sensed that they were on the border of another devil beast's land. Although Long Chun couldn't directly communicate with it, based on the Black Ape's spiritual fluctuations, he could judge the strength of the devil beast in a territory. If the devil beast was stronger than the Black Ape, the latter would become nervous upon nearing its territory, and if the devil beast was much stronger, the Black Ape would be afraid. At this point, the black ape was simply cautious, which meant that the devil beast was on par with it. If it was just on par with the black ape, Long Chen didn't feel afraid. The black ape led the way, while Long Chen stayed behind it. If a devil beast attacked them, Long Chen would call out Hulinger and Lei Linger, and the three of them would surround and slay the devil beast. At the same time, Long Chen thought of the earth energy and the rune he had just condensed. If he had a chance, he would test out its power. However, when Long Chen tried to condense the rune again, he found that he had completely forgotten that feeling. "Senior, did you erase my memories?" asked Long Chen. "No." The Earth Cauldron's answer was simple and direct, as if it already knew that Long Chen would ask. "But, how did I forget how to use it? Can I only use it with your help?" "No." "Then what's going on?" This time, the Earth Cauldron didn't reply. Long Chen waited for a long time, but it seemed like the Earth Cauldron had fallen asleep. "How can this be? What is going on?" wondered Long Chen. The Earth Cauldron had taught him how to harness the earth energy, and condensing that rune had felt so simple under its guidance. However, Long Chen was completely at a loss now. This feeling of bewilderment was something he had never experienced before. "Senior, senior," Long Chen persistently called it, although he knew that the Earth Cauldron didn't want to disclose it. However, he truly couldn't accept this, so he kept asking. "That was the Earth rune, and it can only be condensed in a state of supreme yang." "That's all that I can say," replied the Earth Cauldron before falling silent once more. No matter how Long Chen called out afterward, the Earth Cauldron remained unresponsive. Long Chen couldn't help but wonder, how could this suddenly happen? Did it not imply that he had recently been in a state of supreme yang? Yet only a short while had passed since then. At this moment, a waft of a bloody scent reached his nose. Long Chen hastily paused and stopped his questioning, realizing the gravity of the situation. The aura of a saint's essence blood. Was there a battle here? Long Chen was startled as he didn't see any signs of a battle around. Long Chen ordered the black ape to retreat cautiously as he stealthily approached the source of the scent. Soon, he discovered a stone wasteland. In the heart of this rocky terrain lay a cluster of fractured stones, and amidst them, Long Chen spotted a peculiar sight. A wolf with fur resembling that of a hedgehog lay motionless, measuring about 30 meters in length, slightly larger than the black ape. Despite its formidable saint pressure, its spiritual aura was gone. "Is it dead?" Long Chen was taken aback but didn't dare to make any rash moves. Instead, he opted to wait patiently, extending his senses to observe the surroundings. Detecting no imminent threat, he then cautiously emerged from his hiding spot. But he had the black ape follow close behind him, ready to fight at any time. When Long Chen arrived at the wolf's side, he saw a gruesome scene. The creature's head had been cut open, its crystal core removed, and its essence blood extracted. The evidence was clear. This was the result of a human attack, not the work of another devil beast. Most shocking of all, the wolf had been dispatched in a single stealthy strike. There were no signs of struggle or any indication that it had sensed the impending danger. Ing Tian. After Long Chen saw how clean the wound was, Ing Tian's ugly face appeared in his mind. Long Chen carefully examined the wound. The cut was remarkably thin, cleanly slicing through bone with a precision that left the surface as smooth as a mirror, clearly done by an incomparably sharp sword. Long Chen instantly thought of the thin and long sword that was like a viper's tongue. Long Chen's expression was grave. He hadn't expected Ing Tian to be in the vicinity. As an assassin with unparalleled skill in concealing himself, Ing Tian was like a tiger with wings here. He could even kill saint-level devil beasts in one blow if they gave him the chance. On the other hand, Long Chen was like a firefly in the darkness, so he couldn't do such a thing. Even if he used medicinal pills to conceal his aura, the devil beasts would still be able to sense him if he got too close. Long Chen felt a cold chill on his back. The fortunate thing was that he had noticed this corpse first. Otherwise, it would have been trouble. Long Chen then looked around. There was a cave behind this crushed stone, so he carefully crept over and saw a set of footprints walking in and walking out. Seeing that, he relaxed slightly. For Ing Tian to have left footprints meant that he had relaxed his vigilance after killing the wolf. In other words, he didn't know that Long Chun was nearby. Venturing into the cave, Long Chun directed his gaze toward the wall. 7 egg-shaped hollows were embedded in the rocky surface, surrounded by lingering earth chi. It was apparent that the hollows once cradled earth element treasures. However, Ing Tian had taken them all. Long Chun then retreated from the cave and took the corpse of the wolf. Although the precious crystal core and essence blood had been extracted, this corpse was still a treasure to Long Chun. Ing Tian should still be nearby. Based on the bloodstains, this happened around 4 hours ago. If he notices the black apes land, I'll be in trouble. So I should think of a way to con him while he still hasn't noticed me. A sinister smile suddenly appeared on Long Chen's face, and he silently slipped out along with the black ape. Seal! Long Chen shouted. Violet chi then swirled around him and slowly condensed into a rune on his forehead. Success! Many thanks, Senior. Long Chun was excited to have mastered a sealing technique from the Earth Cauldron. This time it was really simple. This is a seal of the Pill Dao, not a bloodline seal, so it cannot stay in effect for long. You will need to redo the seal every 3 days. Furthermore, you cannot use the slightest bit of your bloodline power, or the seal will immediately shatter, warned the Earth Cauldron. Since Long Chun asked, the Earth Cauldron transmitted him this technique. However, this technique was primarily designed for sealing medicinal pills. While it also had an effect on sealing bloodlines, it just wasn't as effective. It could not compare to how Xia Chun had made a talisman for himself to seal his Doyan aura. However, this was enough for Long Chen. As long as he could seal his violet blood, Ing Tian shouldn't be able to sense his aura. Then they would be on the same starting line for their fight. After dealing with this, Long Chun consumed a few medicinal pills to completely conceal his aura. Now, even his spiritual fluctuations were stagnant. Due to this, his reaction speed was dozens of times slower than normal. That was a dangerous state to be in. However, Long Chun was prepared. Suddenly, a powerful roar shook the land, and Long Chun carefully crept forward. After finding a hidden place, he consumed another medicinal pill. In an instant, he entered a state of slumber, and in his dream, he heard a roar that sounded like a tsunami. He felt the land shaking. Long Chun was in a semi-unconscious state now. In this state, he was unable to pose any threat to anyone. Thus, even an assassin with the sharpest of senses couldn't sense him. Not far from him, a black ape was fighting a violent bear. The impact of their powerful clashes reverberated through the surroundings, shaking the world and sending debris flying, puncturing many mountains. A thick cloud of dust rose into the sky. As long as Ing Tian was nearby, the noises here would draw his attention. In essence, Long Chun had intentionally placed himself in a precarious situation, risking his life to attract Ing Tian. In order to trick Ing Tian's senses, he had to be in this state. The black ape roared crazily, and the bear also shouted. Their voices shook the heavens. In his semi-unconscious state, Long Chun patiently waited. Eventually, he sensed the slightest ripple, and his clouded mind started to focus. As his senses sharpened, he swiftly discerned a shadowy figure lying prone atop a cliff. That was the optimal spot to watch the ape and bear fight. Long Chen's calculations were on target. When Ing Tian arrived, he indeed chose to watch from there. A subtle smile crept across Long Chen's face as he lay concealed in the grass. Peering through his cover, he maintained a clear view of the entire cliff. This was the only way to prevent himself from being sensed. Boom! Finally, the bear's superior strength prevailed, toppling the ape to the ground. Injured and triggered into a berserk state, the black ape retaliated ferociously, tearing at the bear with unrestrained fury. The bear was quickly injured and entered a berserk state as well. 2 saint-level devil beasts locked in a fierce, life-and-death struggle, unleashing chaos with blood and flesh scattering in every direction. Atop the cliff, the translucent figure remained motionless, and Long Chun also didn't dare to move. He simply observed the brutal confrontation unfolding below. Boom! Finally, The black ape was unable to hold on anymore and was brought to the ground. Its chest tore open, and its insides spilled out. The berserk state came to an abrupt halt, leaving the black ape gasping for its last breaths. The victorious bear, driven into a bloody frenzy, roared triumphantly and ruthlessly tore at the black ape's throat, disregarding its final struggles. As this horrifying scene unfolded, the translucent figure vanished. Seizing this opportune moment, Long Chun also disappeared, leaving no trace behind. A slender and long sword stabbed the back of the bear's head with precision. This attack was fast, accurate, and ruthless. Following the precise strike, a beam of sword chi shot forth, piercing through the bear's head. It was a perfect execution, so precise that it sparked disbelief. The translucent figure easily took the bear's life, and it simply stiffened and fell to the ground. Retrieving his sword from the bear's head, the translucent figure then walked toward the black ape. The black ape was already on death's door, but it still roared unwillingly with its final dregs of power. The translucent figure's sword slowly rose, aiming at the ape's head. Even if left alive, this ape wouldn't live for long, as it was virtually incapacitated. Boom! Just as the sword was about to pierce the ape's head, 2 rays of divine light shot out of its mouth. Berserk lightning and flames instantly enveloped the translucent figure. What? This sudden change left the figure in shock. Millions of lightning and flame runes stuck to him like glue. Following that, he felt a gust of wind behind him, and a hand covered in tiny stars smashed into his back. Boom! The starry hand directly pierced his back. Long Chen's attack was unstoppable. However, just as Long Chun prepared to deliver a devastating blow, 8 figures materialized in front of him. Each of these figures bore a bloody hole in their chest. Long Chen's expression changed as he realized that his killing blow had been jointly endured by these 8 clones. By dividing the impact among them, Long Chen's attack was no longer fatal. Cloud Dragon Immolation Claw. Long Chun roared with his palm still in Ying Tian's chest. Boom! The figure bound by Lei Linger and Hua Linger exploded into a mass of flesh and blood, and the other 8 figures coughed out blood. Forming hand seals, they absorbed the blood mist in the sky. Long Chun, count yourself vicious this time. I, Ying Tian, will remember you. These 8 figures shouted furiously, the absolute calm in Ying Tian's voice now replaced with anger. Remember me? It's too early to say that. A lightning sphere and flame lotus merged, swiftly engulfing the world, including those 8 figures and Long Chun. Boom! A powerful explosion reverberated, shaking the world. The void collapsed, and countless Grand Tao runes scattered. Lightning and flames voraciously devoured the heavens and the earth. Amidst the swirling Grand Tao runes, Long Chun put away the earth cauldron, which had been hovering over his head. Its protective shield was what allowed Long Chun to unleash Hua Linger and Lei Linger's full power right beside him. Did we get him? Asked Hua Linger. 3 of his clones were killed. The other 5 ran away. Long Chun shook his head. What is going on? I certainly killed the true body. How can his clones survive? Asked Lei Linger. She and Hua Linger had sealed their power inside the black ape's mouth, using its aura to cover their own. Only then had they managed to trick Ying Tian. Everything had gone smoothly. Just as Ying Tian was about to slay the black ape, the 2 unleashed their attack, and Long Chun attacked from behind him. During their previous fight, Long Chun had found that Ying Tian's head was not his vital point, which was why Long Chun aimed for his heart this time. According to reason, the destruction of Ying Tian's true body should be the end of it. However, his clones somehow survived. Perhaps he doesn't have clones, and they are all his true bodies, said Long Chun solemnly. Regardless of the type of clone, there typically exists a true body. However, it seemed that Ying Tian's clones defied this concept, and all 9 were his true bodies. Long Chen had never heard of such a technique before. However, considering that the Life Hunter race dared to challenge the Violet Blood race, they had to have their own strengths. It wasn't unthinkable for them to have a unique technique like this. How hateful. We couldn't even kill him after all this, grumbled Hualinger. Even though we didn't kill him, we took half his life. Our attack was so flawless that he didn't even have a chance to use his violet flag. After losing so many bodies this time, he probably won't dare to face us temporarily, comforted Long Chun. Although Long Chun didn't understand this secret art, he knew that Ing Tian had suffered a serious blow this time. The latter would definitely run as far as he could. Thus, Long Chen's trap couldn't count as a failure. At the very least, he was temporarily safe from Ing Tian, so he felt much better. Ing Tian was truly terrifying, possessing all kinds of unimaginable techniques. Had it been someone else caught by this trap, they would have died 100 times over. What a crafty fellow. I don't know if he'll fall for it next time, said Lei Linger. Long Chun reached out and rubbed her violet hair. Next time, we won't need to set up anything. We'll drown him with our power. Yes, we'll use real power to smash him flat. Lei Linger and Hualinger both smiled. There were countless saint-level devil beasts here. With a sufficient supply of corpses, their power would steadily increase each day. Anyway, Ing Tian was severely wounded, and he would take some time to recover. Now, time was their greatest ally, so they were happy to hear Long Chen's reassuring words. Long Chun then tossed the 2 corpses into the primal chaos space. Although he had lost a saint-level house pet, he didn't mind. After all, the black ape was too foolish, and he couldn't work together with it, finding it taxing just to direct it. Using it as bait to wound Ing Tian was definitely worth it. When Long Chun tossed the 2 corpses into the primal chaos space, he checked on the Heaven-Earth Blood Spirit mushroom and found that its 4th leaf had appeared. According to what the Earth Cauldron said, once it had 9 leaves, it would be fully mature, and its medicinal effect would reach its peak. It had only been a few hours, and it had produced its 4th leaf. Hence, Long Chun thought that it would soon have 9 leaves as long as he supplied the black soil with enough devil beast corpses. After checking the battlefield, Long Chun found a spirit pool in the bear's cave. However, this time his luck wasn't so good. The pool was already somewhat dry at the edges, and there wasn't anything valuable. Most likely, once the spirit pool completely dried up, the bear would also leave to find a new home. However, it was unlucky enough to encounter Long Chin. Long Chin felt much more relaxed over the next few days. Inspired by Ing Tian, Long Chun set up traps to deal with the devil beasts. Due to their low intelligence, it was very easy to bait the devil beasts. In order to obtain their corpses, Long Chun didn't even care about his pride and started to refine all kinds of shameless medicinal pills. He created all kinds of poison pills, laxatives, and even aphrodisiac pills, using whatever methods to trick the devil beasts into eating them. A pill master wasn't to be feared, but a scoundrel pill master was a different story. Once these devil beasts consumed his pills, they ultimately died at Long Chun, Hualinger, and Lei Linger's hands. Long Chen's method was even more effective than Ing Tian's. Ing Tian needed to wait for opportunities, while Long Chun created his own. He would get 3 to 5 saint-level corpses every day. After 10 days, there were so many corpses that the black soil couldn't keep up anymore. Now, over 20 corpses lay on top of it in a pile, waiting to be devoured. During this period, Long Chun had captured a decent devil beast, a snow eagle. Compared to other devil beasts, its intelligence wasn't bad. At the very least, it understood Long Chen's commands. With the snow eagle, Long Chun started to fly in one direction. It was extremely fast and powerful. When it flew over the territory of other devil beasts, they merely warned it with a roar but didn't dare to take the initiative to attack, let alone chase it. On the way, if Long Chun encountered weaker devil beasts, he would order the snow eagle to kill them. Killing the devil beasts was now very simple and quick. With the addition of the snow eagle, Long Chun didn't even need to set up traps and make the devil beasts eat his pills. He could easily gain over 10 corpses in a day. Aside from the corpses, Long Chun also acquired the natural treasures in their lands. There were ores, precious plants, as well as some things that Long Chun didn't recognize. No matter what it was, he would take it. After all, to leave behind treasures wasn't Long Chen's style. However, he also encountered some terrifying existences on the way, like a berserker sparrowhawk. Chased them down, and even with all four of them joining forces, they weren't a match for it. Fortunately, they were quite fast, and it stopped chasing them after they left its territory. In the end, devil beasts were just devil beasts. They mostly fought using their physical strength as they didn't have that many divine abilities. Otherwise, Long Chen really would have been in trouble. Luckily, there weren't that many devil beasts stronger than Long Chen's snow eagle. Long Chen flew in one direction for a full month before the aura of the land started to change. The wild air gradually weakened. Long Chen was relieved to sense this. After all, the domain of devil beasts wasn't suitable for human habitation. For the aura of this place to weaken meant that they had finally escaped this desolate land. After another day, Long Chen no longer saw any powerful devil beasts. Furthermore, his snow eagle got more agitated, and Long Chen started to lose control of it. The air here was not suitable for it. After thinking for a bit, Long Chen helplessly released it from its slave mark. Fortunately, it was a bit smarter than other devil beasts. After its seal was undone, it didn't attack Long Chen. Otherwise, it would die right there and then. After releasing the snow eagle, Long Chen continued onward and suddenly saw an arrow soar through the sky along with a sharp whistling sound. A whistling arrow? It should be a distress signal. I'll go take a look. Long Chen spread his Kunping wings and turned into a flash of golden light shooting toward the source of that arrow. The whistling arrow relied on sound to alert others, so it rapidly tore through the air, unleashing a screeching sound that spread far into the distance. This kind of whistling arrow would unleash a sound wave that roared like a tsunami. Even if you couldn't see it, you could easily tell where it was coming from. It was different from those cloud-piercing or explosive arrows. A whistling arrow was much more practical in a complicated terrain. Long Chen was a great distance away when he first heard it. As he rushed closer, he quickly saw another arrow tearing through the sky. This time, he saw the arrow's appearance. After that, he started to hear the sounds of intense clashes, and chi waves buffeted him, indicating that someone was fighting. Furthermore, it seemed to be an intense fight. Die, you damn invaders! A furious roar echoed through the air as a group of black-robed experts, bearing strange marks on their sleeves and collars, were attacking two people. To Long Chen's surprise, these two people turned out to be powerful doyens. Under the assault of these black-robed experts, they were doing their best to escape, leaving the ground stained crimson with blood. It's the blood race. Long Chen sensed a powerful bloodline power from these two people. Its aura was dislikable and he was all too familiar with it. Seeing that they were from the blood race, Long Chen had no desire to interfere. After all, the blood race was the human race's mortal enemy, and Long Chen himself had a deep enmity with them. He had killed so many of them that they had long since reached the point of being like water and fire. These two doyens were very powerful, matching Nether Dragon Tianzhao's strength from back then. Surrounded by these black-robed experts, they charged left and right, trying to break free. The ground bore witness to the aftermath, strewn with the lifeless bodies of their enemies. However, these black-robed experts were not weak either. Although none of them could match the two of them, they had a numbers advantage. The duo found themselves ensnared, unable to break free. Adding to their predicament, a barrage of whistling arrows was launched, and more black-robed experts emerged from every direction. At first, they were only in the hundreds, but their ranks swiftly swelled to thousands. As more of them gathered here, the two doyens quickly reached their limits, engaged in a desperate battle for survival with their backs pressed against each other. They were already powerless to escape their blockade. It was merely a matter of time before they succumbed. Bastards! We didn't have any problem with you. Why are you doing this? Roared one of the two. No enmity? You are invaders. You've come to the world of the ninth heaven to take our resources. You are thieves, beggars, cursed one of the black-robed experts. Hidden in the dark, Long Chen was struck by a sudden sense of familiarity. This expert's voice carried a distinctive aura, sinister in both tone and pitch. Long Chen felt an unsettling déjà vu, as if he had encountered this sensation before, yet struggled to place it immediately. It seemed that they were the natives of this world, and they disliked outsiders like Long Chun and the two Doyens. They viewed them as invaders who had come to take their resources. Stop resisting. We will leave you to the sect master to deal with. Whether you live or die will be up to your luck. But if you're just going to be stubborn, death is all that awaits you. This person was quite strong amongst the black-robed experts. He was only a level weaker than these two blood race experts and seemed to possess a high status here. He had been directing the battle from the start. Really? Hearing that there was a chance at survival, the two of them were enticed. Although the two of them had killed quite a few of the natives, if they submitted, perhaps the other side would draw them into their camp due to their immense potential. Even if they had to become slaves, that was better than dying right here and now. Of course, my heavenly corrupt sect always keeps its word, said that black-robed expert arrogantly. Hearing this, Long Chun was taken aback and instantly realized why he found them familiar. Countless scenes flashed in his mind. Heavenly corrupt sect? So they're all from the corrupt path, and they all have the corrupt god's aura on them. No wonder Long Chun struggled to pinpoint where he had previously sensed this aura. These individuals were practitioners of the corrupt path, mortal enemies from his days on the Martial Heaven continent. However, since entering the immortal world, he had never encountered any of them. He had assumed that the corrupt god's legacy was limited to the mortal world. Yet, now he encountered the corrupt god's legacy in this place. Furthermore, he also felt like he had heard the name of the heavenly corrupt sect. In other words, the heavenly corrupt sect was not such a simple sect. Long Chun couldn't help but wonder if a more formidable corrupt god lurked within the vast expanse of the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The revelation stirred a profound unease within his heart. All right, we dash. Just as the blood race's expert submitted, that corrupt expert suddenly unleashed a ray of black light from his hand that stabbed the head of one of the blood race experts. It was a black claw the size of a chicken egg. When it pierced that person's head, he screamed in immense pain. "You don't keep your word," the other blood expert shouted. But without his comrade's support, he succumbed in just a few moves. One sword severed his head from his body, while another razor-sharp blade penetrated his skull. Even after all of this, they didn't immediately die. They kept screaming as if enduring unimaginable pain. The same methods and the same flavor. Long Chun sneered. The corrupt path's people always used these despicable methods. They would torture people until they could refine their souls into berserk, resentful spirits. After that, they would seal those resentful spirits in their weapons, enhancing their weapons. Furthermore, the lingering resentment within the weapons would affect their opponent's minds during combat. If struck by one of those weapons, even if it was just a graze, their opponent would be infected by the resentment. This poison had almost no cure. Once struck by such a weapon, the consequences were dire, and death was an inevitable outcome. I curse you. You won't have a good life. When the two heads started to wither, the corrupt weapons shone with a strange light. They were like fiends eating their fill. Bastards! It's been a month since you entered, but we only found your tracks now. Alert the sect master. If the invaders have been here for so long, it means that the void spirit world is about to open. Our heavenly corrupt sect must seize this chance. The corrupt leader pulled out the black claw. Clearly, he had done a soul search and gained access to the knowledge of the two blood experts. I trust that other powers have long since started hunting for the invaders. However, they are too crafty and didn't leak any information. Since we learned of their existence too late, we'll have to hurry up, conveyed another expert of the heavenly corrupt sect. Even if you hurry, it's already too late. Just then a voice rang out, causing the expressions of the heavenly corrupt sect's people to change. They searched for the source of the sound, only to find a man clad in black robes. He wore a warm smile and greeted them with a friendly wave. Before any of the corrupt experts could move, a lightning sword pierced through their leader's head. Soul search. Long Chen's spiritual strength erupted, and right in front of all of these experts, he brazenly examined their leader's memories. Courting death. The rest of the heavenly corrupt sect's disciples were shocked and enraged. However, before they could do anything, Two pretty figures appeared before them, followed by a sea of lightning and fire. Boom! The surroundings were obliterated in an instant, to the point where even the ground ceased to exist. Just like that, all the corrupt experts were gone without a trace. Huolinger and Lei Linger, now wielding even greater strength than when they had sneak-attacked Tion, effortlessly destroyed these doyens with a wave of their hands. After all, it had been over a month since the black soil started devouring so many saint-level devil-beast corpses. With all the life energy, the moon trees and fusang trees were growing crazily, boosting Huolinger's power. The thunder force of those bodies also stimulated Lei Linger's growth to the point that even Long Chun had to look up to her. All of a sudden, the body Long Chun was soul-searching through exploded. Following that, the void quivered. An enormous hand appeared out of space and slammed down toward Long Chun. To dare offend my heavenly corrupt sect, you must be tired of living. At this moment, heaven and earth changed color. While going through that person's memories, Long Chun had triggered a taboo seal, bringing forth the attack of a terrifying expert. Long Chen's figure swayed, and he vanished from his original location. Boom! The very spot that Long Chun had been in was obliterated. The void quivered, revealing a gloomy-faced elder with a crown on his head. His expression was extremely unsightly as his attack had actually missed. Suddenly, he raised his head and let out a roar, sending sound waves in every direction. Space collapsed around him as the epicenter. However, his attack was too late. Long Chun had long since escaped, and the elder didn't even manage to grasp Long Chen's shadow. At this time, dozens of other elders arrived as well. If Long Chun were present, he would definitely be surprised. All of those black-robed elders were actually saints. "Sect Master, what happened?" asked one of them respectfully. This crowned elder was precisely the sect master of the heavenly corrupt sect. When Long Chun started going through one of his disciples' memories, he immediately sensed it and rushed over. All the disciples of the heavenly corrupt sect had seals on their souls to thwart any attempts by enemies to conduct soul searches and learn their sect's secrets. Furthermore, the expert Long Chun had soul-searched on held a special status within the heavenly corrupt sect. As a result, the sect master had personally placed the seal on him, which allowed him to immediately sense Long Chen's intrusion. Unfortunately for him, Long Chen was just too fast. As the elder's attack had come through space, it had been unable to lock Long Chen down. "Tell everyone in the sect that if you encounter this person, you are to immediately ring the alarm and summon our full force to kill him," shouted the sect master. He waved his hand, and an image of the black-robed Long Chun appeared in midair. Long Chun flew at top speed for over 2 hours. Seeing that the sect master wasn't chasing him, he finally relaxed. Damn! That sect master is actually an existence above a saint. Long Chen's heart pounded. It was fortunate that he had run quickly. "Big brother Long Chun, why didn't we stay and fight? We might not necessarily lose against him," protested Lei Linger. Long Chun was speechless. In the end, she was a lightning spirit, and her senses weren't as sharp. She didn't even realize just how terrifying that sect master was. Lei Linger and Huolinger had grown explosively during this month, but it also fueled their arrogance. In this case, Long Chun could only comfort them. If he said that the three of them combined couldn't beat that elder, they would definitely get even more stubborn. After sending these two sisters back to the primal chaos space, Long Chun started to study the memories he had gained. Although he hadn't managed to gain the core secrets, he had gotten quite a bit of useful information. Only now did Long Chun realize that the place he had landed in was called the Devil Beast Demon Forest. It was such a vast land that almost no one had ever managed to traverse it. From the rumors, deep within the depths of the forest lurked terrifying existences. They were formidable enough to pose a threat even to figures like the sect master who surpassed the saint realm. Hence, despite the abundance of treasures inside the Devil Beast Demon Forest, only a handful of people dared to venture into it. The place Long Chun had rushed through could only be considered the outermost border of the forest. Long Chun breathed a sigh of relief. If he had been transported straight to the depths of the forest, he would have never been able to leave in this lifetime. This time, luck was on his side. Furthermore, the direction he picked was also right. Picking the opposite direction would have led him deeper into the forest, sealing his fate. The place Long Chen emerged from was precisely the territory of the heavenly corrupt sect. Through this soul search, he learned that the heavenly corrupt sect was a terrifying force, the most daunting power he had ever encountered thus far. They had millions of doyens and 100 elderly saints, and their sect master was an existence above the saint realm. The sheer vastness of their territory meant that, despite Long Chen's speed, traversing it would require him to fly at top speed for several days. What disturbed Long Chen even more was the realization that this incredibly powerful force was nothing special in this world. Many factions just as strong as the heavenly corrupt sect existed within this realm. The heavenly corrupt sect was one of this place's natives and referred to this realm as the world of the ninth heaven. From their perspective, this place represented the peak of the 9 heavens, and people like Long Chen were mere invaders. The natives of this world were extremely xenophobic. When they saw invaders, they would immediately attack to kill, showing no mercy. Even sharing the same race and branch meant nothing to them. However, much of the information that Long Chen sought remained securely sealed away. For example, he didn't gain anything about the corrupt god's inheritance. Based on his calculations, those memories were entrenched so deeply within the seal that only someone of exceptional skill, like Meng Qi, would possess the ability to breach it. While Long Chen was thinking, explosive sounds rang out through the sky, causing Long Chen to hastily hide himself. A group of figures flew by his side, led by 2 saints guiding numerous disciples from the heavenly corrupt sect. Each of them exuded a stronger aura than those Long Chen had slain. Observing their intense killing intent and noting the direction they headed, Long Chen murmured, "Interesting. It seems that they want to lock down this area. If I were to leave, I might have to fight them." A sly grin crept across his face. "If you're going to treat me so warmly, I guess I can stay behind for a few more days. It seems that your heavenly corrupt sect has quite a few industries here. You damn bastard. Stop right there." Boom. As some buildings exploded, a figure came flying out of the rubble, soaring with Kuanping wings unfurled on its back. It was none other than Long Chen, and in his wake trailed 3 saints and a horde of enraged eternal experts, their faces contorted with fury, as if Long Chen was the one who had slain their fathers. "Stop? Oh, after giving me so many treasures, are you inviting me to stay for a meal as well? Sorry, but I'm quite busy. You can all leave now. No need for further gifts." Long Chen bid them farewell with a warm wave. "Bastard. Leave our things behind, otherwise." The 3 saints were so enraged that flames almost burst out of their eyes. This location served as a large weapon forging factory of the heavenly corrupt sect, where they manufactured all the weapons for their disciples. Every material used in their weapon forging was centralized here, making it a crucial hub for the sect. As it was located on the border of their central land, the heavenly corrupt sect had never faced a threat to this vital facility. Due to its seemingly strong defenses, no intruder had ever infiltrated this place. However, Long Chen did it so easily. Perhaps this place had been safe for too long, so they didn't even realize that Long Chen had raided their entire stock of materials. Long Chen had taken all the immortal materials and divine weapons stored in thousands of treasuries. Yet the alarm still hadn't sounded. However, Boss Long San couldn't just leave without making a ruckus. That wasn't his style. Having no other choice, he went to their weapon-forging divine hall, and the craftsmen there let out panicked shouts when they saw him. Long Chen was content with their reaction, so he unleashed the prepared world extermination flame lotus upon them. Just like that, all the craftsmen and their handiwork met their demise, and the grand formations of this area lay in ruins. Seeing the devastation, all their experts went crazy. They then came to send Long Chen off, and also bless 18 generations of his ancestors. Even while pursued and cursed, Long Chen felt an undeniable sense of delight. As expected, doing bad things was really delightful. Long Chen started to understand why Nian was always such a wretch. There was a certain joy in provoking others and then basking in the knowledge that they couldn't retaliate. As Long Chen flew through the air, he glanced at the primal chaos space. As he saw the piles of treasures inside, his smile was ear to ear. Within the primal chaos space lay an abundance of immortal metals, not only in their raw or form but also in the purified essence extracted from them. After all, the higher the purity of the immortal metal, the greater the produced weapon would be. Due to their limited abilities, Xiachuan and Guoran found it exceptionally challenging to refine saint-level materials to a high purity. They couldn't guarantee the quality, and the process would result in substantial waste. However, these immortal metals were already incredibly pure. If Xiachuan and Guoran were to see them, they would definitely go crazy. All of Long Chen's snatched immortal metals exuded strong fluctuations. In other words, they should be on the level of saint materials. Other than the immortal metals, he also pilfered piles of weapons. However, the majority of these weapons were still in their embryonic stages, with some lacking even the basic runes carved onto them. A few of the weapons had runes inscribed on them, but they lacked spiritual essence, making them essentially half-finished. Xiachuan and Guoran could just inscribe runes onto them to turn them into saint items. Most importantly, among the loot were over 10 saint-grade items with runes already inscribed on them. They would become powerful corrupt weapons as soon as they started absorbing resentful spirits. The heavenly corrupt sect employed a straightforward method to awaken spirituality in their weapons. Practitioners of the corrupt path cultivated numerous resentful spirits, nurturing them like poison bugs. The spirits would then consume each other until a powerful leader emerged, akin to a king. After that, a group of kings were piled together, and they were set to devour each other again. The process was repeated over and over again until it produced a terrifying resentful spirit capable of controlling a saint weapon. The resulting weapon would exude a chilling bloodthirst. However, a resentful spirit would grow berserk if it didn't get to kill someone after a while. There was a risk that it might turn on its master and devour them at any moment. As a result, the divine weapons of the corrupt path could not be left unused for an extended duration. What delighted Long Chen the most was the discovery of a blood-colored saber amongst the saint weapon embryos. The saber measured 9 feet in length, with countless fiendish faces carved into its surface. The blade itself was serrated, resembling the teeth of a fiend, and it emitted an icy sharpness capable of freezing one's soul. At the bottom of the hilt was a fist-sized golden human skull, with 2 black gemstones embedded into its eye sockets. These gemstones resembled a pair of deep, sinister eyes watching the world. This weapon's form was a bit similar to the blood drinker saber that Long Chen had obtained in the Jili's secret realm. Its body was red like fresh blood, exuding a terrifying pressure. Also, even though it was just the embryonic form of a saint weapon, its aura was even more terrifying than an ordinary saint weapon. What thrilled Long Chen the most was the weight of the saber. It felt as if each of the fiendish faces carved into it carried the weight of a star. Even with Long Chen's formidable strength, wielding this saber proved to be quite challenging. This made Long Chen wonder, was there some titanic person in the heavenly corrupt sect? Who else could use such a heavy saber? Stop! Return that saber. We made that for someone else. Do you know who its master is? Cried out one of the 3 saints in a panic. Hearing that, Long Chen was startled. So the heavenly corrupt sect refined weapons for others as well. It seemed that their weapon-forging business was quite successful. If they weren't, no one would come to them for weapons. Who cares who it is? As long as it enters Boss Long San's pocket, it's Boss Long San's. Even the king of the heavens can't take it back, sneered Long Chen as he ran. This saint had to be out of his mind. He wanted to threaten Long Chen? Why would Long Chen feel concerned about such a thing? If you take that weapon, the Azura race will hunt you down to the end of the world. You will suffer for eternity, roared that saint. The Azura race? Never heard of them, snorted Long Chen. That just means that you're ignorant. If you knew of them, you wouldn't have dared to touch that sword. Is there anything in this world that Boss Long San doesn't dare to do? You're the real ignorant one, replied Long Chen indifferently. Long Chun was flying at full speed, maintaining a set distance from those saints. As their attacks were unable to reach him, he was completely safe. Idiot! Leave behind that saber. Otherwise dash. No need to keep sending me off. We're here. Everyone, let us meet again. Long Chun suddenly stopped on top of a mountain, where a several-foot-wide formation disk illuminated the rocky surface. Die! Seeing that formation disk, the three saints roared with fury and launched their attacks. Boom! The mountain was instantly crushed, and fragments of the formation disk flew through the air. Yet, Long Chun had vanished, his timing impeccable. Fuck! The three saints bellowed in fury, but Long Chun was already too distant to hear their enraged cries. Azura race? Why does it sound a bit familiar? A formation disk illuminated another mountain, revealing Long Chen's figure. He rubbed his chin, deep in contemplation. That's right, the 9 underworld Luocha mentioned having a trace of the Azura race's bloodline. TCH, who cares? No one can stop Boss Long San from getting rich. Whatever falls into my hands is rightfully mine. Long Chun shook his head and took out that saber again. As he gripped it, his hand sank, and the mountain beneath his feet trembled as if struggling under the weight it bore. Only something as heavy as this is interesting enough. Haha, what if I returned this saber to them in exchange for them creating a dragonbone evil moon for me? Would they agree? Long Chun laughed, knowing that the idea wasn't very practical. Ignoring whether or not they would agree, just how many years would it take them to create such a divine weapon? He couldn't wait that long. Well, I'll just use this saber. It should be able to endure my astral energy. Ingtian, just you wait. I'll cut you down this time. Long Chun swung the saber a few times. It really was too heavy for him, so he wasn't able to wield it perfectly. But then, he hadn't used a heavy weapon in a long time, so perhaps his wrist control had weakened slightly. A spider-like entity suddenly appeared behind Long Chun, and its legs wrapped around him. At the center of its 8 legs was a rectangular form. Long Chun then directed the saber behind him, and it seamlessly slid into that rectangular form. It fit perfectly, creating a perfect sheath. Seeing this discovery, Long Chun was extremely satisfied. The only regretful thing was that despite being a domineering weapon, it was different from Dragonbone Evilmoon's innate ruler Qi. Long Chun had been in the immortal world for quite some time now, having fought countless battles and seen countless divine weapons. However, he had never seen another weapon like Dragonbone Evil Moon. This was why, after the Minghong saber was destroyed, he never felt like getting another saber. Those sabers were just far too weak compared to Dragonbone Evil Moon, and Long Chun was extremely picky. Up to now, aside from the Minghong saber, this blood-colored saber was the only one he deemed worthy. After placing this blood-colored saber on his back, Long Chun adjusted the formation disc beneath his feet. It lit up, and once again he disappeared. When he reappeared, he found himself enveloped in a mist saturated with immortal spiritual qi. Mountains lay hidden within the mist, barely visible and resembling a mirage. This was the medicinal field of the heavenly corrupt sect. Over tens of millions of years, they had invested significant time and resources to transform this treasured land into a holy land. Through the last soul search, Long Chun had obtained quite a bit of information about the heavenly corrupt sect. Although he didn't know the sect's innermost secrets, he possessed a comprehensive understanding of its general structure. As a result, Long Chun had strategically placed backup plans throughout the sect's territory. Regardless of his entry point, he could always escape, and even if he failed, he also had other plans. Long Chun knew he couldn't rely on his luck, so he depended on his power. Having obtained some of their divine materials, Long Chun now came for their medicinal field. He estimated that news of his previous sneak attack would be swiftly relayed to their headquarters. Their elders would very likely decide to send pursuers in the direction he supposedly fled. The notion that he hadn't fled but returned for more would probably not cross their old minds. Even if they did consider this possibility, it would take some time for them to arrange their defenses. Long Chun had more than enough time to make his move. While this medicinal field was just one among the hundreds owned by the heavenly corrupt sect, it was the finest. Naturally, Long Chun would pick the best for himself. Although the heavenly corrupt sect was part of the corrupt path, it didn't imply that all their treasures possessed an evil attribute. Both the divine materials and precious medicinal ingredients they owned could be utilized by both the righteous and corrupt paths. Only once their weapons were injected with resentful spirits did they truly become evil. Similarly, only when these ingredients were refined into evil pills would they possess evil nature. Before undergoing these processes, they were all normal. Long Chun saw that there were more guards here than in the previous location. However, their role wasn't to thwart potential attacks, but rather to prevent accidental harm to the medicinal ingredients caused by some ignorant workers. After all, the rarer the medicinal ingredient, the pickier it was. Some were so sensitive that even the slightest touch could lead to their demise. These medicinal ingredients were incomparably precious, and many of them had signs beside them with the names of their caretakers. If any harm befell the medicinal ingredients, the caretakers would be held responsible. So, if a precious medicinal ingredient died, that person would probably accompany it. Thus, all of these people were vigilant in their duties. Stop, you dash! With a single finger, Long Chun killed a guard but didn't do a soul search for fear that he would trigger another seal. He could only check some of their spiritual fragments. Fortunately, the fragments did contain what he wanted. Very quickly, Long Chun found the diagram of the medicinal field's tiers and stealthily went around to the highest tier. Damn! There are saints personally standing guard here? When he reached the place with the highest tier medicinal ingredients, he saw a saint conducting an inspection there. Long Chun instantly went still. While he wasn't afraid of a single saint, fighting here could ruin all these precious medicinal ingredients, which would hurt him instead. In his view, these ingredients were already his, so he wouldn't let anyone ruin them. After going through this field, the saint summoned a dozen eternal experts working in the area and scolded them. He basically rebuked them for not paying enough attention to the finer details, stating things like, "People who neglect their work will be punished." Those eternal experts repeatedly shook their heads like chickens bobbing for rice, not daring to argue. They were already used to this. Whether or not there was a problem, this saint would always scold them. Actually, this was a good thing. It suggested that there were no real problems. The real concern would be if he didn't scold them. The saint sent spittle flying for 2 hours, during which Long Chun felt the increasing urge to silence him forever. Long Chun didn't even know what this saint was trying to express with his rant. Eventually, whether out of fatigue or running out of curses, he swung his sleeve and walked away. Once he left, those eternal experts relaxed but continued to stand there for a while, only fully relaxing and laughing once they were certain the saint was gone. However, halfway through their laughter, they froze as that saint actually returned. "Get over here!" barked the saint in a stern tone as he walked away from the medicinal field. The eternal experts immediately trembled, regretting their earlier laughter. What had been a collective sigh of relief had turned into a provocation, as the saint had heard it. Too fearful to lift their heads, these eternal experts kept their mouths shut, fixating their gaze on their own footsteps as they walked out of the medicinal field. All of them were on edge. With many years of experience working in this region, they were profoundly aware of the saint's volatile temper. Perhaps one of them would meet an unfortunate end here, and their fate would be up to luck now. As soon as they left the medicinal field, a blood-colored saber slashed through the air, beheading them all. The saint was, in fact, Long Chun in disguise. If they had looked at him more closely, they would have easily noticed the imperfections in his disguise. However, their fear rendered them unable to look at Long Chun directly. Exploiting this psychological pressure, Long Chun successfully played his gamble against them, and it really worked. Long Chun had a specific reason for luring them out of the medicinal field before attacking. If a fight had broken out, they would have ruined the medicinal field. Also, even if they didn't resist, just the smell of their blood could harm many of the delicate plants here. If the latter were badly startled, some of them could even die. Buzz. In the end, Long Chen's plan didn't unfold as he intended. As he slew the eternal experts, the saber in his hand suddenly radiated a brilliant light, exuding a ferocious aura. Not good. Long Chen's expression changed. He hadn't expected the saber to directly absorb the blood-soul power of the slain eternal experts. This ferocious weapon seemed like a bloodthirsty fiend awoken from slumber. It actually achieved spiritual awakening at this moment. The primary issue wasn't the weapon attaining spiritual awakening. Rather, it was the sudden eruption of its aura in every direction. Long Chen let out a startled cry and hastily charged into the medicinal field. He had thought that he would be able to calmly gather the plants, but the disturbance had undoubtedly alarmed the surrounding experts. Long Chen panicked. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have used this saber. These medicinal ingredients were all extremely precious, and he had to gather them carefully. Long Chen also needed to study the methods of harvesting some of them without causing any damage, as some would perish instantly if touched incorrectly. This medicinal field housed the highest-tier ingredients, including the ones comparable to the 1,000-leaf sacred light snow lotus and the jade bone violet heart bamboo. Collecting them required meticulous care, as if they died in the outside world, the primal chaos space wouldn't necessarily be able to revive them. However, Long Chen had no other means now. He could only seize as many as possible, risking the possibility of damaging the entire medicinal field due to time constraints. The thought of such destruction caused his heart to drip with blood. "Don't move. You'll damage it." Just as Long Chen was about to grab one saint medicinal plant, the Earth Cauldron's voice rang out. "Leave this to me." Long Chen was taken aback. The Earth Cauldron suddenly appeared and cast forth a gentle sacred light that enveloped the entire medicinal field. "Go block that saint. Buy some time for me," commanded the Earth Cauldron. Long Chen then sensed a terrifying aura and rushed toward it. "You brazen thief! You must be tired of living since you've come to my territory." Countless alarms blared, accompanied by a resounding roar from above. It was the saint who had spent 2 hours chiding the others. "Hey! Don't misunderstand. I'm on your side," cried out Long Chen. The saint paused for the briefest of moments before detecting that Long Chen's aura was completely amiss. "Invader, who do you think you're trying to trick? Speak. Who are you? You don't recognize me? I'm your daddy." Long Chen stared at the saint in disbelief. "Die!" the saint roared furiously. Suspicious of the situation, he had extended his divine sense while speaking. Discovering that Long Chen was alone yet still dared to jest, he was infuriated. The saint's hand reached toward Long Chen, causing space to twist. An enormous hand then appeared in front of Long Chen. The saint was enraged, but he refrained from using his full power. He wanted to capture Long Chen alive and save the medicinal field at the same time. After all, if the medicinal field was ruined, not even he would survive. "Split the heavens one." Long Chen raised the blood-colored saber. After that, specks of starlight covered the blade, and a howling saber wind erupted. Boom! The hand was cut in two, while the saber wind continued to strike the elder's actual palm. Due to the impact, the elder grunted and fell back, blood spraying out of his half-destroyed hand. "It really is different when you have a good weapon." Long Chen was startled by this result as well. He wasn't in his full power state and had simply used the energy of the Star Sea in his dantian. However, this simple attack was enough to injure a saint. Although Long Chen knew that the saint hadn't used his full power either, Long Chen realized that he could now fight a saint on equal footing. Most importantly, when his astral energy entered the saber, he experienced a sensation akin to a raging flood finally finding an outlet. Even his split the heavens had changed. Previously, without a decent weapon, Long Chen had to diffuse the power of split the heavens throughout the entire saber. It was actually more like smashing than slashing. Now, armed with a strong weapon, Long Chen could channel his power to the edge of the blade. Even with the same amount of energy, the destructive might was many times greater. "Hey, stop! I'm telling the truth. I'm really your daddy." After taking the upper hand, Long Chen didn't immediately charge over. Instead, he waved his hands frantically. "Wait! Where did you get that weapon?" exclaimed the saint. His expression completely changed when he looked more closely at Long Chen's saber. Hearing that, Long Chen immediately replied, "I'm from the Azura race. I was given the mission of coming for what you forged for Dash." "Bullshit. Die!" The saint stamped on the air, and countless afterimages of him appeared throughout heaven and earth. Boom! Suddenly, a fist appeared behind Long Chen. Seeing this, he snorted and raised his saber to block it. Sparks erupted as Long Chen recoiled and propelled backward. As he glanced back at the fist, his pupils contracted ever so slightly.